Children 16 months. This is Ian Watkins, the lead singer of Lost Prophets.
Honestly, at
Well,
what?
on that note,
Oh boy.
Cage fight. Oh yeah. Cage fight. Nicolas Cage.
Hello, and welcome to Cage Fight, the podcast that talks about pedophiles so much you might think it's TrueAnon. This is, like, episode, 22 now, I think?
I think it's 21. I think this episode is just old enough to drink.
And today we're going to be talking about Fast Times at Ridgemont High, Cage's very first movie appearance, and Knowing, Cage's one of the middle appearances.
Well, returning favorite.
Yeah, returning favorite, true.
And actually, you are correct. It's episode 22. So this episode is, I don't know about you, but I'm feeling 20. Episode 22.
This episode is Michael Red approved.
I should have had that cued. But as always, I'm Jess. To the right of me is
Mike is here.
And Jokers to the left of me.
Yeah.
And clowns. We got Jokers and clowns in here.
Yeah.
We're starting a Joaquin Phoenix podcast.
People are looking around. They're damaged.
I can't believe
they're
I'm stuck
asking
in the
if they
middle
want to
with
know
you people.
how
Like,
they
what the
got these scars. Up on the boards, we got Dave. You.
My name is Taylor. Once again, coming at you from, I think this is like the 5th episode.
It's fucked up.
It's ridiculous. I can't believe you guys have allowed me to be on this many fucking episodes, to be
Yeah,
honest.
I mean,
it's like episode 5 or 6 or something.
well, honestly, if you get canceled on Twitter, we'll have already recorded a bunch of episodes that we haven't put out yet. So we'll be supporting you before we can fire you.
Especially what we're going to mention on this episode, I'm going to get fucking canceled at some point, I bet.
Somebody's going to get canceled on this episode. I can tell you that.
And we also have a very special guest.
Yeah, he's super special. Am I right? Come on. My good friend and movie nerd, Nathan Ferguson. Explain yourself.
Hello, I'm the movie nerd that you just talked about. The number one movie nerd.
Number one.
He's
That's
number one.
A hefty title.
He's been called the Anthony Fantano of cinema by me just now. So
That's really fucking cool.
I'm really glad we could get someone like that on the show. Number
yeah.
one movie.
So
I mean, do you, Nathan, do you have a shaved head? Are you a melon?
Do you have a yellow
No,
flannel?
unfortunately, I'm actually doing the opposite since quarantine. I'm going the full. My hair's almost to my shoulders now. It's gonna
the full
doing
bush.
quite the opposite here. Yeah,
Nice.
full bush.
Dave, the noise thing is happening. But
wait,
just
what
saying.
was that?
The noise thing that you were talking about, that's happening.
Ah, shit, is it?
Mhm.
Hang on just a second here.
But yeah, we'll be able to cut that out in post so we can talk.
Just 1 second here. I'll get this figured out. Just give me 1 minute.
Okay.
Sound like some Burzum production over here.
It's a lot of popcorn.
Oh, somebody's got their phone.
Testing.
Some
Hello.
UFO shit going on.
I don't know if you can hear me, but I guess I'll relay my message anyway. This is a message to the G-Force gang. This is Mike from the future, by the way. Did I mention that? This is Mike, and this is a message from the future. I live in a reality where Zandalee has won the entire bracket. And since then, it has thrust society into civil war. The end is nigh, and there is no stopping it for us. But there is still a chance for you, for there is one film, just one, that can beat Zandalee. It is up to you now to prevent yourself from making the same mistake we did. It's Deadfall. Deadfall is the only movie that can win. And it totally is better than Raising Arizona. There's just no question. So it's up to you to go back and change the results before it's too late. Oh, and also, Lord of War totally kicks Snowden's ass. I mean, Snowden's a really good movie. It's a pretty decent flick, I'm not gonna argue that, but it's just simply not a Cage film. I don't think there's really any question about that either. And, I mean, hopefully I caught you before you watched Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Don't get me started on that one. Well, I have to go. I think they're coming. It's been nice talking to you, bros, and I just hope you heed my warning for the good of society. G-Force Gang.
Wow, that was strange.
That was
Okay.
Weird.
That
I
was
put a gate on it. Was there? Can you still hear the noise?
No, it's gone now.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Sorry about that.
that was
There's something.
Well, there
weird
was
going on
something
with the
buried in
console, I
that
think.
noise. It was
Yeah.
a weird transmission, and
I don't want to sound crazy, Jess, but I think I heard it too. I wasn't entirely sure. It sounded like it was almost like a message from the future or something.
yeah, it seemed a bit wordy, but
yeah, well,
Chilled me to my bones.
it sounds like Mike was talking to us from the future.
yeah.
And
But he's literally sitting right here. Though.
I mean,
couldn't
it
have been
wasn't.
him.
I mean, it might have been me.
Are you a fucking time traveler?
Well, I mean, maybe in the future
sounded-
I am.
It sounded like a much more gruff Mike, though. It sounds like he'd really been through some shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
definitely.
it's just the patch bay, guys.
Yeah, I can't really explain much of that, but it sounds like we should probably analyze some of the past results. Maybe we'll do that off pod. But yeah, I think we need to rethink some stuff. It sounds like.
We'll do that in an actual cage, and we'll actually fight.
Yeah.
It did. I don't know. I heard something about Deadfall, but that's been knocked out of the bracket already. As much as I
Yeah.
did love that film, perhaps we could. I don't know. Swap it with some piece of shit that we don't want.
And I was gonna say, almost justifiably so, it got knocked out of the bracket.
I mean, I disagree, but I just feel like if we're to turn the tides of the future war and the end of the world, we're probably gonna have to. Yeah, it sounds like we're gonna have to do something about that. So yeah, we'll talk about that later.
I'm gonna clean the patch bay tonight, and hopefully that shouldn't be a problem in the future.
And you know what? That's the thing. How are we going to survive the future war if we don't have the Lord of War helping us out?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely need to get weapons from somebody.
Well, don't
so-
worry. The NSA is watching everything, so they'll know and they'll use it to shut down terrorism, right, guys?
I take great joy that somebody in the NSA has to transcribe every episode of our podcast.
Yeah, the no strings attached will really help us out a lot.
Yeah, so fuck that guy, whoever's listening.
The NSA are going to come over and fuck us, and they're not even going to say goodbye, and they'll leave.
Not even gonna buy us breakfast, baby. So
I do find it interesting that the head of the G-Force gang believes that the only movie that can beat it is not G-Force but Deadfall.
yeah, I mean, I guess maybe they tried that in the future. I can't speak for the future. I don't know. I'm no Terminator or anything. I'm just a regular guy.
You're no Kyle Reese, so.
Yeah.
This has got me shook.
Well, to talk
though.
about Deadfall and fucking Terminator.
Deadfall
yeah,
versus.
fuck.
Oh yeah, the Beanster.
Yeah, the Beanster, the flicking the Beanster.
Yeah,
Yeah.
flicking that Beanster.
Well, I'm a little worried about what's going on here because that kind of freaked me out, but I'm not going to let myself get too bogged down in this at the moment.
Yeah, I refuse to even talk about it.
Yeah, let's not
Honestly,
bring it up anymore.
it's only August, and I can't be truly spooked until October, so it's way too early for me.
Yeah, I mean, this was supposed to be our
It's not-
Halloween episode initially.
It's not quite spoopy season until like September. So
Right.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, the school's just started. We're back at good old Ridgemont High.
yeah.
And so Halloween is coming up, and so is Killer Segway.
it's going to be some fast times here as we talk about Fast Times at Ridgemont High, the first movie we're going to delve into today. So this one is rated R.
Or really?
Yeah.
Are you sure about that?
I didn't have to look it up. I mean, I guess it could be NC-17, but I doubt it.
I thought maybe it is in one of those early days where it's kind of like you could kind of get away with a PG rating for like anything.
Oh,
yeah,
I wasn't for sure.
as long as somebody's not getting eaten by a shark, it's like PG.
Yeah, back in the 80s, you could like say the word fuck once and then like toss salad and it's still got a PG somehow. But you say fuck twice and then it gets rated R.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to say fuck too much, but you can kill kids or do whatever you want to, really.
Well, killing kids with parental guidance, I think, is probably the best way to do it.
Yeah. Well, and
Yeah, the parents know the best way to do it. They'll guide your hand as you...
Yeah, and early plug for next week. We're having Casey Anthony on to talk about something. So
Well, this one came out in 1982. It was directed by Amy Heckerling.
The big heck.
It's not something I normally mention, the writer, although I probably should start mentioning the writer, quite frankly. But this was written by Cameron Crowe, I believe,
Yeah.
which you'll probably have.
Cam Crowe.
Production
he sucks.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, what? Nothing. Keep going.
Production company is Refugee Films, and runtime at 89 minutes, budget of $5 million. Want to guess how much this movie made?
Ooh.
I'm gonna guess it made $30.50.
Yeah, I'm gonna say about 700 million.
All right.
30-51, Bob.
Fuck, the Jeopardy rule, or not Jeopardy rules, the Price is Right
Right.
rules on me. Fuck.
Haley gets
I like
got
it.
every time.
God damn it.
He's playing the game here, but $50 million, which
Oh,
means
shit.
you were
Oh,
the closest
shit.
without going over,
Not
Nathan.
bad.
And that was back in the early 80s, so that's probably like 150 some odd million now or some shit.
But you win a new dishwasher, and
Awesome.
And it's
that makes
Taylor,
another
so-
Cage movie in the black, which if I was smart, I would have the thing up already,
And
and
not-
I'm not stalling for time.
And not to spoil it too much, but can we really call this a Nicolas Cage movie?
14 out of 42, and I don't know if we really can call this a Cage movie. We gotta talk about this up front, I think, a little bit.
so this is not a Nicolas Cage movie. It does include his first paid role, but calling it a role is a bit of a stretch.
He's literally the last person on the fucking like acting credits at the end of the film.
Yeah.
Does he even have a spoken line?
He does not.
No, he is in the background.
I thought that I looked this up, and I think that he does have one line, because I think he is listed as Brad's Bud. That is his official title.
Yeah,
But I think that he is in the very beginning of whenever, not in the mall sequence, but whenever they're all driving up to school, and he says, I think, from what I could tell, I think he says the cruising vessel in reference to Brad's car. I think that is him.
Oh shit.
Oh.
I didn't
And-
see him until the burger flipping scene, and then again in
Well,
the football
That's
game.
like the clearest. That's obviously
Oh, he's in the
the
football game,
burger
too?
flipping is like the clearest part.
I will
but-
say I noticed him a little earlier, but I won't spoil that too much because it's really very choice. And also, he's credited as Nicholas Coppola.
Yeah.
So
This is before he picked Cage as his acting surname, based
Yeah.
on Luke Cage. Fun fact that you'd know already if you listen to episode 1, but don't do that.
Yeah. If you haven't, don't. But yeah.
So on Rotten Tomatoes, this got a 78% from critics, 80% audience score.
oh wow, that's pretty equal. Holy shit.
And
we
we're
usually don't
audience
get
stands, but that is pretty close. Yeah.
Yeah, we usually don't get that close. It's usually like if a film gets 80% by critics, it gets like 50% by audience, or vice versa.
Right. Because
It's always very, very disparate.
critics are pretentious and weird, like stupid. So that's yeah.
I mean, the only good critic is Armand White. I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah, and the critic from The Critic.
Definitely not the nostalgia critic. He's not a good critic.
But Mike, do you have any trivia for us?
Yeah, I got some shits for you. So a little bit more on the director and writer. Amy Heckerling also directed Clueless, National Lampoon's European Vacation, and a movie that we talked about recently, I think on Mike, maybe. Look Who's Talking, our favorite baby talking movie. I don't remember why that came up, but
I don't remember talking about this.
The best baby talking movie is Baby Genius. I mean, come on.
yeah. Well, I mean, Look Who's Talking was kind of the predecessor. To
Oh,
that.
so it was like the originator of that whole amazing genre.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
Okay, but that's fair enough. I'll give you that.
And as you mentioned, this is written by Cameron Crowe, who's the director of Jerry Maguire, Elizabethtown, Vanilla Sky, We Bought a Zoo, Almost Famous, Say Anything. I actually just
He
got...
directed We Bought a Zoo.
He directed We Bought a Zoo.
That's one of his most illustrious films.
Now, I will say I just got done watching all of his movies because I've been listening to the Blank Check podcast, you should, I guess, listen to that instead. But it was a struggle for me. I'm not gonna get Cameron Crowe's lawyers on me right now, but he fucking sucks. I hate his movies. There's a couple good ones.
Do you hate him for the movies or for personal actions?
I guess the movies. I hate him for boring me. And I mean, he's good with soundtracks, and he'll like have bands co-starring in his or appearing in his movies. But other than that, I'll beat his ass, dude.
You know, that's the thing about, you talk about soundtrack, right? He actually has a band with 4 of his brothers, and they're called the Counting Crows.
Oh yeah, it's Cameron Crowe,
Christopher Crowe,
and the
Russell Crowe.
and the racist crows from Dumbo or whatever.
Song of the South, I think.
A Song of the South, yeah. But yeah, so Cameron Crowe,
Chief Sitting Crow, probly.
he really made a name for himself after this, but he can probably fucking suck my dick. Because yeah, I mean, Vanilla Sky was okay. Almost Famous had some redeeming stuff about it, but yeah, I mean, putting My Morning Jacket in your movie will make me smile for 1 second, and then the script will just destroy me. So yeah, fuck that guy. And on to trivia. So this movie was actually initially given an X rating because there was a scene where Mike Damone does a full frontal. It was supposed to show like the vulnerability of teenage lovemaking or something. But they were told that they had to remove that or the carrot sucking scene, and so they removed that. And also the carrot sucking scene originally took place in a hot tub with both girls naked, and that was also changed to avoid the X rating.
I love eating carrots in a hot tub.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
one of my favorite pastimes.
Absolutely.
You know, honestly, what's more erotic than eating a really hard, cold vegetable in a fucking hot tub?
Yeah, and honestly, it just makes me think of that episode of 1,000 Ways to Die, where the girl fucks herself with a carrot and it kills her because of like a bubble in her bloodstream or something. I don't remember.
I'm not aware of that one.
Or like the one where the guy like tries to fucking get like a rim job from the pool like suction thing and it
God.
sucks out his intestines.
Yeah, both of those things are almost as sexy as this movie, but this movie takes the freaking cake a little bit.
Just barely though. I mean, let's be honest.
As I mentioned, Nicolas Cage, or this is his first paid role. He actually was supposed to have a bigger part, but he lied about his age, and when they found out he was only 17, he could not play. I think it was Brad Hamilton, the Judge Reinhold character.
Oh, okay.
Oh shit! I think Nick Cage would have been great as that fucking character.
Yeah.
Thus beginning the rivalry between Nick Cage and,
And
Judge Reinhold
Reinhold,
that would
which-
take place even further in Xanadu.
Yeah, Zandali really ramps up that animosity between Judge Reinhold and
I'm
Nicolas Cage.
so fucking excited to watch Zandali if that's true. That
Yeah, he's the other man. But actually, Nicolas Cage's audition was apparently too dark. So I really would have loved to see. Like I'm just picturing him like
serious levels or-
in the pirate outfit,
Wait, hold on
like
here.
punching himself in the head or something. But
wait. Are you serious?
apparently his audition was very dark, and he was also 17, so they were like, I guess we're too scared to tell you to go away, but you can be Brad's bud.
Well, and that's the thing. In his audition, he was wearing a hairpiece, and he was wearing a purple like jacket and like zebra pants, and he was humping a bed. Like
Yeah.
that was the dark performance.
They're like, that'll be good for another movie, but maybe not this one.
And he also insinuated that he might have been mentally challenged in that
Yeah.
dark scene.
I was picturing if he's going dark for a high school movie, if like I don't know, he came out dressed like he was in The Cure and was like,
He's for the audition, he's doing the jacking off in the bathroom scene, and he's like, "Why won't you fuck me?" So during the shooting of this film, Sean Penn got into character so hard that he would only be referred to as Spicoli, refused to be referred to as anything else.
yeah, because that role really required intense method acting.
Yeah, that role that he. Honestly, being on the cover of this movie and how famous I know that he is from being in this movie, I was expecting him to be in more than like 5 minutes of it. But I guess we'll get to that.
I cannot believe that.
And also, to get into character, he extinguished a cigarette in the palm of his hand in order to better understand the character.
Oh my god!
So that's either pretentious or super
Well,
genius.
you know what's funny is that he actually did that to prep when he would do that to Madonna later on.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say, like, I think that was less prep for the character and more like prep for his future
Abusive
being-
marriage.
Yeah, like a
For his
violent
domestic
psychopath.
violence, borderline attempted homicide incident with Madonna.
So, not really a laid back stoner kind of thing. Because, I mean, last thing you want to do is burn your hand when you're freaking trying to sync up Dark Side of the Moon to Wizard of Oz.
What the fuck?
So the
Leonardo DiCaprio from Django Unchained wish he was as edgy as Sean Penn was.
oh yeah, when he smashed his hand.
Yeah.
Smashed his hand with the glass. Also, I heard that his role in Django Unchained didn't have any N-words in the script. He added that all himself.
Oh shit, really?
Yeah.
Damn, he was playing a lot of video games at that point. He just kept losing.
What do I got here? The mall scenes were shot at a mall after it closed. So because of labor laws, the children who were like buying the tickets from Damone had a 10-minute window to shoot their scene because of the time of day. And I guess that probably would have applied to Nicolas Cage too, because he was technically underage.
So my question is, they do 10 minutes because that's how long it takes to fully molest a child, because Hollywood producers love doing that.
They probably started that before the mall closed.
Hey kid, get over here. We're going to abandon the mall. We got legally 10 minutes to molest you.
The 10 minutes was just for them to shoot, and then the rest of they actually were on set for 6 hours. The rest of that was the molesting part.
Yeah,
It's really
10
funny.
minutes for the kids to shoot, and then all the time after that for the director to shoot.
It was funny, before they refurbished that closed mall, the only thing that was in there was a solitary fake leather couch in the middle of the mall.
Just one leather couch.
God.
I only got a couple more here. This film has 3 actors who later won Best Actor: Sean Penn, Forrest Whitaker, and Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, girl.
And the screenwriter, Black Crow, went on to also win an Oscar. Spicoli's dream sequence was added to the movie after the fact because they really liked Sean Penn, and as I said, is not in any of the movie
Well,
at
that
all.
makes sense because it didn't make any sense.
And my final piece of trivia is maybe the best piece of trivia I've ever discovered for this show. So brace yourselves.
So better than Max Bemis from fucking Raising Arizona on the poster.
Oh yeah.
That was my personal favorite, and I doubt it'll top it. But.
Well, hold on to your butts, buddies, because
right.
according to the Tampa Bay Times, Linda's nude scene was voted top nude scene of all time by Mr. Skin.
Oh.
So you could,
The authority itself.
if Mr. Skin wasn't enough of an authority, the Tampa Bay Times is the one quoted for making the. I mean, I'm sure.
What the fuck was that reported on in a newspaper? Yeah. Who the fuck runs this newspaper?
Whenever I was a teenager and I was looking up those really raunchy movies, I was like, how do I know where it's at? I went straight to the Tampa Bay Times every time.
Tampa Bay Times. That's I could never remember the link for Mr. Skin, so I'd have to go to the Tampa Bay Times website and then click on it.
You know, what's always funny is that whenever I wanted to find some really choice nude scenes, I literally drove all the way down to Tampa Bay so I could get the newspaper and then immediately drive back to Green Bay
You
and
can
read
get it shipped to you. I've been doing that for years.
Why don't you get it from the fucking source though? Come on.
Fair
My
point.
family went to Disney World, and I snuck off and went to Tampa Bay to find the original Mr. Skin link. So
Sorry, Mr. Skin Link sounds like that sounds like a weird sex act you find.
it sounds like what they call like a skin tag on your dick.
It's like a Jimmy Dean sausage link, but it's a Mr. Skin
it's got a bubble on it.
sausage link.
Yeah. So good movie, great movie, loved it.
Is that all the trivia you have?
Yeah.
I think there's one thing that I saw in my research that you didn't mention, which was that Cameron Crowe apparently wrote this movie after going undercover as a high schooler at the age of 26 in a high school.
Why would Cameron Crowe go undercover in a high school, especially knowing he wrote this movie? I wonder why that might be.
He went undercover at a high school, and they were reasonably nervous when he asked to do that. And then Cameron Crowe got his start as a writer for Rolling Stone.
Okay.
And when he proposed the idea to the principal or whatever of the school that he was gonna molest all these kids. He was like, I met all these cool bands, and I can't remember what band it was. exactly that he mentioned, but he met some band that the guy at the school liked, and so they allowed him to go undercover.
What was it? Lost Profits? Is it the
It was he really liked the Bill Cosby comedy album Lick on My Puddin' Pop.
And you know, that's the thing you might not know too is that Cameron Crowe went undercover. He had a blonde mustache and like kind of like a blonde bowl cut. And every time they would ask, "What's your favorite thing about high school girls?" Is that I get older and they stay the same age.
Yeah, and basically he loves kids.
And based on what this movie ended up being, I'm very interested to see that that's what he took out of his whole year of being in high school. That this is what he thought was the most choice stuff that needed to be in a movie.
He hung out with high schoolers for a year and then wrote a fanfic about them like fucking each other.
Yeah.
And
a little fucking creepy.
now
More
that I
than a
think
little.
about it, and not to get too into it, but there's a scene where one of the characters who's in high school has sex with a 26-year-old man
Yep.
who is for sure the Cameron Crowe surrogate of the movie, right?
Fucking absolutely. Because, I looked it up, and I think he was, 26 at the time of this.
Oh my fucking god!
Or maybe the numbers are, blaring.
All right, let's
disappearing
not
in my
spoil it
head.
too much. Let's get into the fucking plot because we have to talk about that whole thing in depth when we get to that point.
All right, moving out of the plot summary, it opens with, a montage of high schoolers hanging out in a mall, just doing things. There's, some kids talking to a guy scalping Van Halen tickets. This guy will come to learn is Mike Damone.
Well, you talk about scalping Van Halen tickets. I wish in real life that they would have scalped Eddie Van Halen for what he did to Fred Durst.
Hey, that's not for years after this point, okay?
I know,
They're
but he
at the
still
peak of their
deserved it.
career. They
Fuck.
got David Lee Roth still.
Fuck Eddie Van Halen. That stupid red fucking cap of his, as he said, is actually really fucking cool, okay?
Also, he says he wants $20 for something in the first 10 rows, and the kids get upset because they were $12.50, and I was like, what the fuck? Van Halen at this time is a huge band. No.
Concert tickets were cheap as shit back then. Like,
Oh, yeah.
You see tickets
Fuck you,
from Led
Ticketmaster.
Zeppelin, they were like $7, and I'm like, that would never fucking happen nowadays.
Yeah, fuck you, Ticketmaster. I wish I could go back to this time.
I love Ticketmaster.
You're a late wrong generation person, but just for concert ticket prices.
Just for the price, just to escape inflation. Even inflation doesn't count for it. I did the calculations myself. But
I've done the math enough.
So there's 3 waitresses working at a restaurant in the mall who are all gawking over a guy that walked in that they all think is super hot. I'm just gonna say, frankly, I don't see it.
26-year-old, right?
Yes, he is a 26-year-old
Yeah.
guy. Frankly, I don't think he's that hot.
No, he's really not.
He's not hot, and his opening line is working hard or hardly working. And he pauses to wait for praise after it. So,
But the guy is 26, and the waitress, whose name is Stacy, tells him that she is 19. She is, in fact, 15, we find out later. But he asks for her number, which even 26-19 is a little sketchy to me. I mean, everyone is able to make decisions at that point, but all I'm saying is I'm 26 and I'm not looking to date 19-year-olds right now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I wouldn't
definitely 18 for
recommend
me.
it.
yeah,
And-
definitely wouldn't.
But yeah, afterwards, Stacy goes and talks to her friend, which is Linda. Am I remembering that correctly?
Yeah.
And, it's revealed that she's actually 15 and she lied, but she got that guy's number and they're going to go out. Then we see Sean Penn and 2 other dudes hanging out in another mall restaurant, a burger joint, where Brad works.
Yeah, they walk into the restaurant and immediately take off their shirts and then sit down and get comfortable.
Yeah.
It was so
it was
strange.
the 80s. It was a different time, okay? Not everyone was self-conscious about their moves like they are now.
I can understand walking in and not having had a shirt on, but to walk in and then take off your
Yeah,
shirt.
they're like, can we get a
Gotta
table?
skirt that rule.
What is this, a rural gas station? Like, you don't go to a place to immediately take off your shirt.
Can we get a table? This shirt is fucking killing me.
But yeah,
Was he Randy from Trailer Park Boys?
they are told to put on their shirts by a sign that said "No shirt, no shoes, no dice."
No dice.
Hey, you know who that restaurant who put that sign up is? Andrew Dice Clay.
Yeah, because he actually took his shirt off.
After that, we see a bit of a montage around the high school. Sean Penn and the other dudes are rolling out of a VW bus with a bunch of smoke rolling behind them because, they're stoners.
I really couldn't tell. It wasn't really obvious to me. I was like, what's their deal, man? I just couldn't get it.
You know, honestly, I thought it was on fire, and I was like, why aren't you guys getting out of the van a little quicker? Like, you guys are going to fucking die.
I don't know. That guy seemed like a real airhead. Maybe it just, he didn't quite get it.
Okay, fair enough. That makes sense.
I mean, this was maybe established those tropes. So in 1982, people thought the van really was on fire, and they talk like that because they had fetal alcohol syndrome.
Yeah, I was wondering if this movie kind of established those tropes, but I assume, he is like a SoCal surfer dude type thing where he goes like, dude.
I assumed that was actually established in Reefer Madness. I thought that every weed trope was established in that movie, and everyone else is just copying that.
No,
I've
that's
never
totally
seen
fair.
the movie, but I'm assuming.
Yeah, I mean, he was definitely mad off the reefer. I can tell you that right now.
Really?
Yeah.
I would have never fucking guessed. It was very subtle performance.
Apparently, they were initially only going to release this movie like on the West Coast because they thought like East Coast people wouldn't get it.
It is a very subversive film for the different reasons that they might think it's subversive.
Damn, what's a surfer dude? Is that like a fucking trap fisherman or something? What is? I don't have the comparison to make. So
Brad, who will come to know, is Judge Reinhold. He rolls up in like a luxury sedan. It's a 4-door Buick LeSabre that's like powder blue. And he's like, it's just 6 more payments and this baby's all mine. And he's like, he works at a burger place and he's going to get another kid a job there. He's on top of the world. As he calls himself, he's a very successful dude as a high schooler who has a job at a burger joint. I don't know if this is just like...
Here's what you have to understand, though. The minimum wage back then was like $3, which is like $23.50
It is
today.
the equivalent of quite a bit more nowadays. That's
So
true.
like that job literally could have sustained a family. So no, honestly, for him being a high school student and for like management, honestly, he probably could have like bought a house back then. So
I don't know about in 82, but...
I mean, maybe like 5 years earlier, but like still in the early 80s, if you had a fast food job in high school, you were still making bank in comparison to a high schooler on fucking fast food wage nowadays.
Oh,
yeah,
definitely.
If
Absolutely.
If you found a $10 bill on the ground, you could fucking buy a house and go see Black Sabbath.
If you found $15 on the ground, you could have seen Van Halen for the original ticket prices before scalping, and had it been in, could have bought a couple sodas at the fucking stand.
We also see Mr. Hand, is that his name?
Yeah.
Oh, and I'm sorry, just before you missed it. So the scene where they're all like intermingling on the front, and there's a guy that has a sign that says "I'm a homo" on the back of it. Did you notice
not
that?
see that.
Yeah.
So there's like a blink and you miss it thing, but there's like a person who puts a "I am a homo" sign on the back of someone's like back. That's Nick Cage who did that. I had to rewind it several times to make sure.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and honestly, that's Nick Cage's very first showing in a movie, and he's being extremely homophobic and a bully.
Whatever happened to Kick Me?
Yeah, I'm a homo. Come on, Nick Cage, do fucking better than that. And we've seen plenty of Nick Cage
he's
movies.
saying we're all human. I am a homo sapiens.
Well, that's the thing. We've never seen Nick Cage be in a bigoted movie ever. So that
never.
was a
No.
huge,
That's true.
huge shocker.
Very out of character for him.
And you also mentioned Mr. Hands, right? So remember
The Herbie Hancock album.
No, I was gonna say at the very end of the movie, no spoilers, but they have like this is what they did afterwards thing. Well, Mr. Hand in real life, he later got fucked to death by a horse in Washington State.
What?
Oh, you don't know Mr. Hands?
Mr. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, he later got fucked to death by a horse in Washington State. Bet you didn't know that, folks.
His daughter moved to Eau Claire. And her name is Whitney, Wisconsin.
Yeah, so for our listeners, do not look up Mr. Hands' horse. Do not look up Mr. Hands' horse on Google after the end.
Yeah, don't
of this
bother looking
episode.
it up. I'll tweet it out for you.
Well, it's a borderline snuff film because he died like 2 hours after that.
Oh my
video.
God.
That's like 8 millimeters based off of.
No, I'm more like 8 meters. Did you see that horse dick?
I've seen Jackass 2, if that counts.
Oh God. But moving on from this, the Mr. Hand is kind of like a douchebag authoritarian teacher who's going to end up having a bit of a rivalry with Sean Penn. And basically, Sean Penn's only plot line in this movie, which has no relation to any of the rest of the plot lines.
It should tell you how out of high school I am that I actually liked Mr. Hand as a character. He was one of my favorite characters in the whole movie. He's fucking awesome. He's so cool.
He's a no bullshit kind of guy, and you know what? I don't want to put up with this fucking guy's antics either. He's showing up late to my class, and it smells like shit.
And then after school, he's beating up Madonna. He tied her to a chair and shit. Like, fuck this loser. I don't care about him. So, Mr. Hand is cool as shit.
But then we meet Mark, who is a shy dude, and says that he's. Oh wait, no, sorry, missed something.
Oh fuck.
The carrot scene.
Oh yeah. Hold on, let me get my.
Why
dick
would you
out.
want to miss the carrots?
Yeah, so then we see at lunch Stacy and her friend Linda, the two waitresses. Stacy's the one who got the 26-year-old guy's number. She's talking about how she wants to, she's nervous. She hasn't had sex yet, but she's thinking about having sex with this 26-year-old dude. And Linda apparently also has an older boyfriend who's outside of high school. We never see him or hear his age.
Yeah, she's basically the expert of like any sexual questions that Linda might have.
Stacy.
Or Stacy, sorry.
Linda.
Yeah. Linda knows all about sex, and Stacy is about to figure it out.
Yeah.
So.
But Linda teaches her how to give a blowjob at lunch with a carrot, and then some boys at a table see it, and they all clap.
Yeah, because honestly, how do you not get turned on by just watching somebody just eating vegetables?
But then
Whenever I saw you eat a banana, I was getting a little chub, I'll be honest.
Hey, that's a fruit, so.
I talk about fruits over here, man.
They were eating entire carrots. That these were large carrots. They were not just like eating baby carrots at lunch.
Yeah.
They were entire carrots. My favorite lunch food is large entire carrots.
That's it. When Bryan Singer was undercover in high school, he was the one eating baby carrots in front of the other students.
Yeah, that's what he was into. But they wanted the men watching this movie to get to picture their penises getting sucked, and so they got the biggest carrot they could. And you know how sometimes you just sit at the lunch table and just fucking pull out your peeler and yak away at the fucking carrot and.
yeah.
Sometimes when mom wouldn't get into carrots, sometimes she'd give me an entire potato, just an unbaked potato. I'd also have to get the peeler out, just really start gnawing on it.
Really, some subtle messages about poverty in this film.
Oh god.
It's a very socially conscious film, folks.
But then afterwards we are introduced to Mark, who's a very shy dude, and says that he's in love with Stacy, who is in his biology class with him. And Mike, who was the scalper ticket man before, gives him some advice on how to get her, and it's basically like, play it cool, act like you don't need her,
Yeah, he gives her the dentist system of fucking how to seduce women, basically. And also, so he's like, they're Mike and Mark. Well, Mike is called Mark is called the Rat.
Yeah, because he's Mark Ratner, so he calls him Rat.
Yeah. So
wait, Brett Ratner's brother was in this movie.
Rat and Mike are the Linda and Stacy parallel, and so Mike is somehow the quote unquote experienced one, though the viewer can tell that he's a kind of a loser.
Yeah.
But he comes off as this cool guy who like knows how to seduce women.
So after that, we see Stacy sneak out late at night and meet up with that 26-year-old dude. He takes her to a baseball dugout.
Baseball dugout. I'm like, I honestly thought am I gonna watch an actual rape and not just a statutory rape?
Which didn't they call it like the point or something? I think that's what they. So is that actually the point, or did he just take her to the dugout?
Yeah, I don't know if that. Why would you call that a point? I don't know.
I don't know if that was a spot where other high schoolers frequently went to make criminals out of people.
I don't know, but also for a guy who's 26 years old taking someone on a first date to a fucking baseball dugout, it sure kind of tells me that I feel like he knows she's not 19.
Yeah, and like also, I'm sorry. The dude's got a really nice. Dude's got a really nice car, by the way, in this movie. It's kind of cool. My thing is, could you not have like afforded a hotel room or something? Like go to a fucking dugout. If you're gonna have public sex, a dugout is one of the worst fucking places to have it. It's not only barely public, but it's also like really uncomfortable looking.
Well, he wanted to go somewhere without cameras. He wanted no record of their activity together.
And he also told her this is our little secret. Don't tell any of your family or friends about it.
Oh.
And
I will deny all of this.
And so yeah, they have sex, and my whole thing about it is, so first off, this movie also has another really problematic take that we already didn't mention. 15-year-olds don't facilitate their own statutory rapes. That's not how that works.
Yeah.
Like, when does that ever happen? When does it ever happen? When does a 15-year-old ever on her own volition seduced a
Cameron Crowe's
26-year-old man?
Yeah, you can tell this was written by a man because he doesn't have to pressure her at all.
She's the pursuer. Since when? This naive girl who barely knows about sex seduces a mid-20s man? What the fuck?
Yeah. And I mean, this is just the start of them like showing the naked bodies of people who are supposed to be underage.
And I looked it up. They're all 18. They're all barely 18 when this movie was shot.
Barely legal. But they're also supposed to be playing children.
Yes, certifiably. It's not like 17 and 9. No, they're 15. 16 years old.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I mean, definitely the most problematic erection that a lot of people have had.
And honestly, I don't think I would have quite understood this scene had they not been nude. Like, I think that's really what cemented it for me. You know,
Yeah, I think
I just it didn't click with me until the clothes started coming off and I could see it. I was like, there you go.
Yeah.
That's it.
Until we saw her nipples, I wasn't sure what was going to happen, and I'm still a little confused. I hope the director's cut has some full penetration. But yeah, it was definitely essential.
This movie's like so borderline. I feel like anyone who owns a copy of it on DVD or Blu-ray should be on a fucking list. Like, it is pretty sus, dude.
Going through the reviews for this movie, I was like, I was very worried about a lot of people. But I guess we'll talk about that in a bit.
Yeah, we'll talk about that when we get to the reviews.
This aspect made me pretty uncomfortable, but
it's not great.
Then we see Brad, the guy who had the LeSabre before and the burger job. He apparently wants to break up with his girlfriend because he wants to be free. On his senior year of high school, he's a successful dude, and he's just gotta go out and get him some different boon.
Yeah, he wants to spray his juices all over the place. Understandably so.
Then I have a note that I don't know what I wrote this in relation to, but I just wrote, Sean Penn is funny, dumb stoner man.
Extremely funny.
I think
Very funny.
if that's not the tagline for this movie, it should be.
So then Mike convinces Rat, Mark, to go ask Stacy out. Mark works at like the movie theater that is right across the plaza or whatever the fuck from the pizza place where Stacy works. And walks over there and just kind of smoothly asks for a number.
It could have gone a lot worse.
Yeah, it could have gone a lot worse. But then back to Brad at the burger joint. He has a fight with some really exceptionally bad acting, I feel, with a customer.
That's the scene where I noticed Nicolas Cage.
Yes, this is the scene with Nicolas Cage, we should note. He is in the background.
Yeah. And they like pan, like they stop on him for a second, like, and it felt weird. Maybe it just in retrospect because it's like, look who it is. But I don't know. It just seemed weird because I thought at some point he was gonna like come around the counter and talk or something.
Yeah, I thought he had a much bigger role than this. I guess I should have researched it more.
And, that's the thing is that there's actually a cut scene where he's seeing Judge Reinhold's character get yelled at, and he goes, "Yelling at him won't bring back your goddamn refund."
They really should have kept that in.
But they thought it was just a little too dark.
Yeah, that was the. I mean, honestly, it seems weird that they would take something out of this movie for being too dark, because they have no problem with a lot of stuff that I find kind of dark. So.
Way darker than whatever Nick Cage did, I guarantee it.
But yeah, there's a customer that comes up and demands a refund because it is not the best breakfast he's ever had. And apparently he's a frequent customer here, so I don't know why this guy is being such a prick, but he is being a prick. The customer cannot deliver his lines for the life of him, I feel like. He does not sound committed. But But Brad, gets into it with the guy and he gets fired because of it. And then
The guy looks so fucking smug and happy about getting a guy fired over a $2.50 breakfast, or like $2.75. Mm-hmm. Like pocket change, and I guess at this time you could buy 3 cards for that price, but it's still he was way too excited about getting that poor kid fucking fired from his job.
yeah.
And that's the thing you don't understand is that $275 you literally could have bought 3 houses back then.
Yeah, I mean, you could have fucking traded him for a hotel probably.
But yeah, so then he goes and talks to his girlfriend about how he really needs her right now. He's really down. And she's like, I think we should see other people because, it's our senior year. We don't want to be tied down. We're successful people.
She gives him the speech that he was just practicing in the bathroom before getting fired.
Judge Reinhold, in every movie I've seen him in, love issues. God, poor guy.
He's such a dork. Mm-hmm. He's fucking... Does he play John Arbuckle? Because he's literally John Arbuckle.
Well, his name is Judge. You'd think he'd be a better judge of the people he dates.
Yeah, well, I think now he's Supreme Court Justice Reinhold, but...
Yeah. Yeah, did you watch Arrested Development?
That's who's
Judge
gonna
Reinhold?
replace
That's right.
RBG. Mike continues to give advice to Mark. Not our Mike. Mike Damone, the smooth-talking ticket.
Mike was yelling at the TV the entire time he was watching this.
me!
Hey, I'm trying to have sex over here.
Want to get some freaking tail?
But he continues to give advice to Mark, including at a restaurant, order for the woman. It's a classy move. And when you're making out, put on side 1 of Zeppelin 4. I've heard this. And
Cuts to the car.
yeah, immediately after that, it cuts to the car where Kashmir by Led Zeppelin is playing, which I would like to point out is on side 2 of Physical Graffiti. And not
Yeah.
well,
So you got it wrong!
That's just the foreplay part, all right?
Could they not
He was
afford
giving
any songs
clear
off
instructions.
Could they not afford any the licensing of any songs from Led Zeppelin 4?
Damn, we tried to get going to California, but it wasn't in the budget.
But they could license Kashmir, but not that song.
Mark is taking Stacy to the restaurant, and when he gets there, he realizes he forgot his wallet at home. So he goes to a payphone and calls Mike and asks him to bring it to him. In return,
How do you pay
Mike
for the
says-
payphone?
oh yeah, how the fuck did he pay for the payphone? Honestly,
That's why they call him the rat.
He did the thing where he calls and he has to say his name and he calls and says, "Please bring me my wallet really quick. I need it right now. Thank you." And he beeps.
They called him a rat because he was scrounging around for change. Yeah.
but and Mike says, "Yeah, all right, but you'll owe me big for this one." And then when they're driving back, it seems that someone broke into his car and stole his tape deck. I feel like it's implying that Mike did that in exchange for fucking bringing him the wallet.
I don't even remember that part.
I did not catch that.
I did see that.
I think that's what's implied. So, Mike, great friend from the start, you know.
Such a cool fucking guy.
Honestly. No wonder why he's slaying Tang all the time.
Mark and Stacy go into Stacy's home, and her parents aren't there. They're out of town, and they start making out, but Mark kind of backs out nervously before they go all the way.
She pressures him a bit too much, and he gets nervous.
And that's the thing, I'm all for sexually aggressive women, but not for sexually aggressive children. So this movie was not for me.
And she takes it as a rejection, even though she likes him, and he's still quite smitten. So.
Yeah.
But
Even
she
though
needs sex. If it's not sex, it's nothing. That's the way she.
She needs it right fucking now from who the fuck ever.
Listen, she's got a WAP right now. Okay?
Macaroni in a pot.
Somebody get the fucking bucket and the mop because Stacy's in town.
Hey, listen, if you need a bucket and a mop because you're so aroused, you might want to go to the doctor.
Oh, is Ben Shapiro here right now?
Yes, I am, and frankly, I think that I think Fast Times at Ridgemont High is classic cinema.
Yeah, and I believe you asked your wife what would cause a wet ass pussy, and she said, "Why don't you fuck me?" So
You know what I do? For 30 seconds, that's all she needs, okay? I'm trying to produce children here, not producing cum.
I'm like Mike Damone, one fucking thrust in the pool house, and I'm out.
Oh, we'll get to that. But so
Sorry, Ben, we'll get to that.
So Sean Penn and another kid are driving around, smoking, and The other kid, it's apparently his brother's car that they're in.
His brother, who is played by a very young Forrest Whitaker, who is
Who still looks 30.
He still looks 30. At first, I thought he was like a former football player from the school that became the coach or something, because I was like, this dude is 8 feet tall and looks 30.
In real life, I looked it up. He was like 19 when this movie was made.
Really?
He does not look 19, 20 years old. And this was like his second movie ever.
That's crazy. Yeah, he was very young, and yeah, is apparently the star of the football team.
Which makes sense. He's fucking gigantic.
Yeah.
I do want to point out a particular line in this movie where they're talking about Playboy, and while they're driving around in this car pretty recklessly, and then the line, "I like sex." which is spoken.
I like sex. I like a sex. You think Borat watches this movie and be like, it's America, and in America they like a sex.
They smoke a joint in the car and they get the sex.
Yeah.
But
all the girls who get naked are under 18.
So after this, Sean Penn absolutely wrecks the car, and his friend who's in there is like, "This is my brother's car. What the fuck are we gonna do?" And Sean Penn has a plan. So in order to get out of admitting they trashed it, they tag it to make it look like the rival high school did it.
Classic.
Mm-hmm.
Which is kind of really genius if you didn't notice that there were obvious like car accident marks on it.
Also, how the fuck they get it out of there? I mean, it was, I don't know, maybe it wasn't that bad, but
they rent a tow truck? Like, what the fuck? We get a tow back then for $7.63.
But yeah, in response to this, Forrest Whitaker, who is the star football player on the team, goes fucking ham in the next game, which is against this team.
It's because he shit himself. Because as they said earlier in that scene, they said first he's going to shit and then he's going to kill us. So he was shitting himself on the field. That's why he was doing so well. He was just bolting across the field.
he was bolting across the field, projected by his excrement, and they won the big game. Oh, but Nicolas Cage does make an appearance at this football game. He's in the crowd.
Really?
Yeah, and I was like, oh, there he is again. Maybe he'll speak now.
I never noticed him the whole time I watched the movie. I had to look up the scenes again on YouTube afterwards and be like, oh, there he is.
I can't believe you missed the "I'm a homo" sign that he put on that kid's back.
Look, I was taking extensive notes as you're all appreciating the fruit of my work right now.
We appreciate it a lot, Jess. Thank you.
Yeah, I think, my notes say it must have been bright on set because Forrest Whitaker's squinting. That's all I got. So,
But so after this, Mark and Mike show up to Stacy's place unannounced. They just kind of show up. Mike's like, "Come on, she'll love it. This is great." So they're hanging out, swimming in the pool in the background. And Brad, who is Stacy's brother, if I hadn't mentioned that already, Judge Reinhold is Stacy's brother. And he's real depressed about his new embarrassing job where he has to dress like a pirate. And he goes into the house after seeing Linda in her red bikini swimming around in the pool.
Played by Phoebe Cates, by the way, which is very relevant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then this is the famous scene from the movie, the one that, gets referenced all the time, I think.
Probably the most rewinded and paused scene in movie history because they just really want to see an 18-year-old girl pretending to be a 15-year-old seeing their tits.
It's famous enough that it was. I remember this distinctly that it was in VH1's "I Love the '80s." I remember I had no idea what this movie was, but I knew that scene. Of course, it's VH1, so they did not show everything, but I knew of this scene because of that.
And it's not just because the character in the movie is like 15, 16, but I've been so fucking poisoned by internet porn that scene did literally nothing for me. It did literally nothing for me.
But yeah.
I saw this on I Love the 80s too, so I was expecting Todd Glass to be doing a voiceover.
I was expecting Michael Ian Black to show up and Hal Sparks to talk about it.
Brad starts masturbating in the bathroom, fantasizing about Linda, where she walks up and takes off her top, and her boobs are on screen for like 1 second or something like that, but it's enough to go down in film history.
Oh yeah,
and she tries to kiss him, and then she walks into the bathroom and seeing he's honking off.
Mm-hmm. And actually, Judge Reinhold apparently for that scene brought in a giant dildo to masturbate on, and so Phoebe Cates' reaction is real, apparently, because
Oh, really?
she wasn't expecting to see a massive dildo.
Is that actually true?
Yeah, that's true.
That's actually really good. Okay. Judge Reinhold, that was pretty funny. Good for you.
After this hangout session with Mike and Mark, where they're all swimming in the pool, Stacy is more into Mike now than she is into Mark, and she
Why wouldn't you be? He's obviously so cool.
Dude.
Then we get another scene with Sean Penn where he orders a pizza into class, and the professor.
Oh, and don't forget the very famous point here is that Mike is literally a one pump chump.
Oh no, that comes later.
Oh,
I'm telling you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I got extensive notes.
Okay,
Don't worry. I'm not gonna.
I will
thought
get
you
into
said-
it.
Oh, we'll get into it. The way he barely got into her. So.
But yeah, Sean Penn orders a pizza into class, and the professor is like, "You kid, thank you for buying me a pizza, because I'm eating this now." But
Even though he's breaking his own rule that there's no EATING in class.
Well, he also shared it with the class, though. So if you didn't know, this is a communist teacher.
And
he distributed it to the class.
Solid dude.
Even though at that time, I believe he was in his lecture trying to justify American imperialism in
I got the wrong impression then, because I thought he was like, well, America was trying to throw its weight around in fucking Cuba, and that's when he got cut off. So, I think he was actually being a little bit more critical than that.
Oh, okay.
But then he had pizza in his mouth, so I had to save that for the next lesson.
Yeah.
But if that seemed like a pointless digression, it's because it was. But Sean Penn is the biggest person on the poster and the top billed actor, so I have to mention his parts.
Which are so inconsequential to everything that happens. in this movie.
Yeah,
So-
entirely unnecessary.
There's also two bikini babes who are not characters in the movie at all that are also on the poster, but none of the other characters who have obviously more screen time than him are not featured on the poster at all.
The actual bikini babes.
Yeah, the ones who are actually in bikinis for like a good at least quarter of the movie, I feel like.
Well, they didn't want to put underage girls in bikinis on the poster. That's a little too raunchy.
Yeah.
But yeah, so after Stacy tells Mike she likes him, she takes him back to her place. They go into the pool house and they end up having sex there. And
Kind of.
yeah, kind of, because like Mike comes like immediately.
Yeah,
Like-
I don't even know if it's two pumps. It's like literally one pump chomp.
It's like
I don't think it was a full pump.
honestly, he was like a basically a California burger joint because he was friggin' in and out, brother.
But yeah, he immediately leaves, like either regretting it or embarrassed or something. Then in the next scene, like Brad is really embarrassed by his pirate uniform and quits his job at this new place, which is like Captain Hook's something or other. I don't know.
well, didn't he quit his job by there's like a big delivery and then he just threw it out the window?
Yeah, he threw everything out the window.
He pulls up next to a hot lady at a red light who happens to be Nancy Wilson from Heart, wife of Cameron Crowe.
Interesting. Okay.
And because he gets clowned on in front of the hot lady, he throws his hat out the window, which is the beginning of the end. Because it's not bad enough being dressed like a pirate, but he's a pirate in a fucking turtleneck, which is a whole nother ballgame.
It's true. But so after this, Stacy tells Mike that she is pregnant. And Mike says, like, well, we got to get an abortion. And she's like, I already got one planned, but it's going to cost $150. I need you to pay for half, and I need you to drop me off at the appointment. And he's like, all right. And then, well, he fails to show up on the day of, doesn't pay for it. And she has...
Which really tells the kind of moral center and very solid morals this character has, right? He comes in 1 second, gets her pregnant, and doesn't even fucking pay for half the abortion.
And
Like,
also,
dude, come
Cheap
on.
fucking abortion too.
Yeah.
and before even the word abortion comes up, his first reaction to finding out she's pregnant is, "You wanted it."
Yeah.
So definitely the responsibility is out of his hands safely.
Which, let's be honest, though, that's definitely a thing Cameron Crowe said while he was undercover at the high school.
Hey, listen, I can't have a baby with a high school girl, and anyway, you basically wanted
It's like,
it.
you wanted it, okay? As she's crying on the floor. That's
You were
basically Cameron Crowe.
freaking dripping all over the outfield, my dude. So,
But, yeah, so Mike's being a bit of a fucking deadbeat here.
yeah, I am.
Kenny's not even a deadbeat dad. He's a deadbeat fuck.
So she has her brother Brad drop her off at the appointment instead, and she tries to hide it, but Brad ends up seeing, and agrees to keep it like secret from their parents and like tries to comfort her a bit. But
And you know what? That's the thing. Like, in the early scene of this movie, I thought he was going to be one of the big scumbag characters, but he had a nice little character arc there where he was being very supportive and loving to his sister. It was honestly very sweet. I liked that.
Yeah, he ended up being the frickin' biggest sweetie in the movie.
Yeah.
He gets the biggest sweetie in the movie award from me.
So honestly, no, Judge Reinhold's character in this movie, he gets an A+ from me for morals compared to everybody else for sure.
And Rat's not too bad, I guess.
No, he's fine. And then Mr. Hand is cool shit, obviously. Too.
Yeah, Mr. Hand's straight up.
Mr. Hands is the best Herbie Hancock album of the 80s.
It's just unfortunate the way he died in real life.
I make jazz references, you make
I make horse sex
references.
It's opposite ends of the spectrum, but we're all on the spectrum.
Opposite end of a certain kind of spectrum, if you know.
But okay. So then afterwards at school, Mike he gets his car tagged with Little Prick and his locker too with like Prick.
Deserved it, by the way.
Oh yeah, deserved it. And Mark finds out about Mike and Stacy, and Mark is pissed. Not about the abortion thing. I guess Stacy probably kept that secret a little bit or something. I don't know.
I think that was like a secret between the brother and sister and probably Mike.
And
Yeah, I think as far
Linda
as
too. I think
Rat
Linda
knows,
knew, but
they
yeah.
just like hooked up, or even maybe he even knows less than that. I don't know.
But he's super pissed. They're gonna like fight in the locker room, but it gets broken up by the coach. So then after this, the kids go on a tour of the hospital and see a dissected human body. Fucking weird. Kind of doubt that would ever happen.
Oh no, you'd be surprised. That's
maybe
happened.
in like a college anatomy class.
Okay,
but
never mind. Because I had that in college anatomy class. Never mind.
This was a high school teacher who was literally reaching into a dead body and pulling stuff out of it.
Listen, this was early 80s. I'm sure that was a thing at certain fucking high school classes. I guarantee it.
It was very weird, though.
I mean, it's kind of cool. Have you ever like dug into a dead body before? Shit's cool as fuck.
I mean, but not like in school.
Oh, okay.
That teacher was definitely enjoying it.
Yeah, enjoying it a little too much.
This is before we find out he has a strangely hot wife.
But yeah,
Who knew that Mr. Hands wasn't the biggest sexual deviant in this movie? This guy really loves playing with corpses.
So Stacy is uncomfortable with the corpse, but Mark comforts her. Then it's finals time. We got a montage of them taking finals, man, and doing all sorts of goofy ways of cheating, like taping the answers to the back of your sunglasses and writing it on your leg, and I don't know. There were a bunch of other
Covering the whole spectrum of cheating.
That montage was kind of funny. I liked that.
Yeah, it was all right.
I did do something similar to that in high school, so.
Probably very
Well, the
short
most
notes,
creative
though, right?
one is, did you hear about like the scandal of kids for like a group of classes that all like printed the answers and the nutrition facts on a Coke label and wrapped it around
Yeah.
actual Coke bottles and brought into
So
it?
fucking cool.
That's some gangster shit.
That's cool as fuck, dude.
But so then it's the night of the graduation dance and Sean Penn's about to go. But Mr. Hand shows up saying like
Fucking
fucking narc, man.
my balls, bro, on the night of the fucking dance.
And he says, like, according to my calculations, you have wasted 8 hours of my time this year, and now I'm going to waste 8 hours of yours, which, that was kind of funny. I'll say that.
That was my favorite Mr. Hand scene by fucking far in this movie. Like I said, that really endeared me to that character, because I'm like, nah, you know what, Spicoli, you're going to stop being a fucking dipshit, and you're actually going to learn something for fucking once.
You're not gonna get by on your surfing, bro.
And your gorgeous looks.
Or Mr. Hands goes through some, like, schooling with him, but lets him go. And at the graduation dance, Sean Penn somehow ends up on stage singing with the band. Linda apparently breaks up with her older boyfriend. Mark and Mike make up. It's never seen if like Stacy ever forgives Mike, but we see that Mike has a redemption arc here because Mark forgave him for but whatever.
By all accounts, Mike's forgiven.
Because Mark was the one who was most hurt by this action.
Yes.
But then afterwards, at work at the mall, Stacy says to Linda she wants romance, not sex. And then she looks across the hall and calls Mark over and gives him a photo of her with her phone number in the back and gives him a kiss. And then Brad is working at a convenience store, which gets robbed. This scene is weird and random, but I thought the movie was pretty much gonna be over. But he's working at a convenience store. Sean Penn just walks in and he's like, dude, I'm buying stoner snacks, dude. I'm gonna use your bathroom. So then, and then while Sean Penn is in the bathroom, a robber comes in with like a 45 and is just holding him at gunpoint, like, give me the fucking money from the safe. I can stake it out this place. But luckily, Sean Penn walks out and is like, dude, and distracts the guy just enough that Judge Reinhold just splashes him with some hot coffee, takes the gun and holds him at gunpoint. And justice is served that this guy who was just robbing a convenience store for probably $150, $200 needed to be held at gunpoint. Whatever.
It was the beginning of a buddy comedy that was totally gnarly.
Well, fun fact, that scene actually influenced the entire series of Death Wish. So.
We're gonna. Oh man, what if the old white guy was killing minorities, bro?
Was this Rage?
Yes. Yes, it is. It's not Primal.
So then after this, we get a montage of shots with, the characters and text of where they are now. I wonder, did that trope, originate with this movie?
No, I think it might have originated with, what the fuck was that movie with John Belushi?
Oh, Animal House.
I think it might have originated with Animal House.
Okay.
Because I think a movie came on, 1980, or his movie came on 82, if I'm not mistaken. So I think it probably started with that movie. And like I said, it was unfortunate that they did not put that Mr. Hands got fucked to death by a horse in Washington State later on.
Well, they say that he's still convinced everyone's on dope, but, was he wrong about...
No, he was objectively not wrong. I guarantee you they were all fucking on dope. And also, so are you going to continue on with the plot, or can we get to our...
Oh, that's it.
opinions?
That's the whole plot.
So my thing is,
over.
is that obviously Stacy is just horribly sexually abused this entire movie. First off, she gets statutory raped by a 26-year-old as her first sexual experience, and then her second sexual experience lasts 1 second, and she has to have a fucking horrible abortion by herself that she has to pay out of pocket for.
Yeah.
This woman, is the story of a woman who ends up at a lot of fucking women's shelters. It's honestly really fucking disturbing. It wasn't funny at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I feel so bad. This girl, I just want to give this girl a fucking hug, dude. I feel so bad for this girl.
Yeah.
That's why she winds up in the Hateful Eight.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Is that she got all that rage and that's why she just couldn't stop saying N-bombs?
Yeah, yep.
But yeah, no, I agree with that. Stacy goes through a lot of shit this movie, especially for being a comedy movie ostensibly.
Yeah, this movie's not really very funny.
No, it isn't.
It's really mean-spirited and vulgar and vile.
If anything, give her the benefit of the doubt. Put her on the poster.
Did people back in the 80s find statutory rape funny?
Oh, when you think about
kind
it,
of, yeah.
It's pretty goofy that he didn't actually know her age. That was kind of like a prank. Kind of like a good prank.
And that's the thing, especially with what we know about Hollywood. Imagine all the type of guys who think, no, she really wanted it, dude. She seduced me.
Dude, she lied about her age, bro. So I couldn't even tell. She was so mature.
You're so mature for her age, yeah.
She knows
what's
calculus.
What's a shame though is who we never see in this movie? Stacy's mom.
Yeah.
I hear she's got it going on.
I bet she was pretty fucking hot, dude. By the way, rest in peace, Adam Schlesinger. But rest in peace. one of the first major victims of COVID in America.
Oh yeah.
The only important one, really.
Yeah, what do you think about it? Yeah, I mean Herman Cain, though. Yeah,
Herman Cain that one was pretty good.
That was pretty good. Godfather Pizza will never be the same without you, Herman.
But yeah, overall thoughts from anybody?
I was really expecting to like this movie, and then the content of it really fucking pissed me off, and I did not really like this movie nearly as much as I thought I would.
Definitely super sexy. Definitely, I'm super glad that this movie was the sexual awakening for the parents who created so many of my friends.
Yeah, I'm sorry. If this movie created your sexual awakening, you're probably a fucking monster. This movie's fucking disgusting.
Yeah, and I mean, I haven't seen a ton of the hit 80s high school movies. I've seen Breakfast Club and that's it, and it's not really quite my thing. So I was hoping maybe
they're not really my thing either.
I mean,
would you characterize Ferris Bueller in that bracket though? Because that one I do like.
Ferris Bueller is great.
Ferris Bueller's awesome.
I will say though too is that talk about horrible depictions of sexualizing minors. This movie's on the level of fucking Sallow in regards to sexualizing minors. It's that bad, dude. It's fucking gross.
Yeah, it's not good. And well, speaking of Ferris Bueller, Matthew Broderick was originally supposed to play Brad Hamilton, but his dad apparently got really sick and he didn't do the role. So
Okay. And even though there were some solid scenes in this movie, I was just so fucking repulsed by a lot of it. It just was. I just don't know how anyone finds this fucking movie funny. I just genuinely don't understand it.
yeah, Nathan, what did you find funniest?
Well, I was gonna say that I feel like Sean Penn Spicoli was really obviously like he's supposed to be the funniest character in this movie. He's the funny man out of all this, but maybe it's just that I'm just kind of like we've seen this character like 1,000 times now of the stoner, and so maybe it's because I've already seen it so many times that I was kind of repulsed by his character in general and just didn't find him funny at all. And it just didn't, that part didn't work for me. So I also agreed. It was not, there's very little to actually be funny from this.
Yeah, I don't know. Every scene I saw him in was like, oh, I mean, this is not funny. This is just kind of annoying me. He just kind of shows up and goes, dude. And then he goes and beats Madonna. And
Yeah, I mean, at this point, he just is like everything about his character is so hacky and cliche that it's not entertaining.
No.
it may have been the origin for a lot of those tropes, but obviously it's been done better and it's already been beaten into the ground.
I mean, I don't really think so. Like, I mean, Shaggy was kind of a proto version of that, and Scooby Doo came out in the fucking late '60s.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. But Shaggy,
But Shaggy wasn't an idiot.
And Shaggy fucking got the job done. So
Yeah, no, he did. He had a cool ass fucking dog.
yeah. And that dog was also one of the biggest stoners.
I mean, Mr. Hand had a cool horse. But Spicoli had nothing. He was just a boring fucking pothead who probably would later go on to just be that annoying guy who you see at shows. It's like, man, I remember when I saw us band in the 80s. You're so fucking cool. It's like, dude, I don't give a fuck. I wasn't even a fucking sperm in my dad's nutsack in the 80s. I don't give a fuck what your experiences were back then.
I remember
dude.
when this band was more than Jake.
But maybe this movie would have been great and refreshing back in the day, because I don't know. It strikes me as maybe the reason this got notoriety was it was like one of the first movies about high school kids that was like aimed at high school kids. So maybe that had some redeeming quality, but it's not doing anything.
I don't
for me
even
right
I don't
now.
even think that's entirely true, because there were plenty of like high school movies from like the 70s and 60s that were like had a lot of these same tropes, to be honest. Like
Yeah.
maybe not the exact same, but pretty similar.
Yeah, I mean, this movie was not. I mean, it was the first for a lot of things, I think, but it was not groundbreaking in any way whatsoever.
And if you're talking about good high school movies, we joked about it earlier with Matthew McConaughey, but really though, watch Dazed and Confused instead. I think that movie's a fucking lot better, and there's a lot of similarities between Fast Times and Dazed and Confused, and I think Dazed and Confused is a million fucking times better.
Yeah, honestly, a lot of the like famous lines from Dazed and Confused, I could never remember if they were from Dazed and Confused or this movie. And then they weren't in this movie, and I was bored.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I was not in high school in the early 80s, so I don't know if this actually is what it was like for a lot of kids then, but if it was, I can maybe understand why so many of like the boomers in my life are so fucking stupid.
Yeah, I mean,
and like sex pests, you know?
Yeah. But I don't know. I really didn't much care for this movie. There were maybe like a couple of scenes that I kind of like maybe like, smirked at once or twice, but it was well outweighed by all the weird sexualization of children and yeah, I don't know.
And like
It's
I said,
just
I
not
mean,
very fun to watch.
The Mr. Hand scenes, and then the scene where Judge Reinhold, I think it's Brad, right?
yeah,
Comforts his sister. Those are the only scenes that I actually liked in this movie.
yeah. Brad,
I really liked everything with Brad. I think Brad was a good character. I really like Judge Reinhold in general.
I can actually.
He's great.
I can fully agree with that. I think his scenes were probably the most relatable, because I've been in a lot of shitty jobs like that before.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he handled those in a way that I wouldn't have, but I totally understand how you would handle those situations like that.
yeah, Brad, solid dude.
He's a
solid brother.
He's a borderline anti-capitalist character when you think about it.
Yeah, he does everything that you would want to do in that job. You would want to say fuck you to the customer who wants the refund on that. You would want to shred your uniform while you're driving down the road because you hate your job so much, but you don't do that. He's everything you would want to want to
is-
do in that kind of
Yeah, and even the quote unquote contemptible things he may or may not like, trying to break up with his girlfriend so he can get more poon. He's doing it in one of the least shitty ways possible by like rehearsing it and like saying this instead of being like, "Yo, bitch, fuck you, I don't want to see you anymore."
Yeah.
And then also like the fact that the jacking off to that scene, he was doing it in private. He wasn't
and
doing
she
it where
didn't
anyone could
knock
see
or
it.
anything. The
Yeah.
door was closed.
So like even though that's maybe a little bit inappropriate, like he was purposefully making sure that she didn't see. So like I don't know. I feel like that if that's the worst thing someone's ever done, then he gets a fucking pass from me.
She fully peeked over his shoulder too. It wasn't like he just like how I that's one thing I don't understand how she made it all the way into the bathroom and like looked. Oh, she had to look over his shoulder to see his dick, and
his
and
back
she
was
did it.
to the door. I feel like if you would have just whipped the door open and not peeked in, you would have been like, because that's not how I enter a bathroom.
Yeah.
You know. But I guess
Yeah, no, the second I see someone's like knee popping out of the toilet, I'm like, oh shit, sorry. You don't go open the fucking door all the way. I mean,
Yeah.
come on. And even then you're still like, oh shit, sorry.
at least knock or put your ear to the door to hear for any grunting,
Yeah.
something.
So, but no, honestly, he's probably the most, or probably the least shitty character besides his sister in regards to like morals.
Yeah.
And so is that everybody's thoughts on this thing? Oh,
was gonna say,
also
but-
like very little Nicolas Cage. Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
I got
literally.
notes.
But
hell yeah.
we were actually gonna do reviews too, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
but
yeah,
we got to
well-
hear what Dave has to say first.
Dave, hit us with that summary, bad boy. Your contractually obliged summary.
Nick Cage is a homo. The rest is basically Pizzagate with extra steps.
With extra toppings? No.
Yes, and extra topping.
Oh man.
Okay, no,
pretty
that's
on
fair.
point.
That's very on point. I mean, that was the most consequential scene because I was the only one that noticed it.
Oh man.
Good eye.
But yes, so Nick Cage is a homo.
And our favorite homo. I do have some reviews. A lot of the 5-star reviews for this movie are like dads that grew up to be fucking shitty Republicans, I feel like. Because like all the people who were like, oh, this is like the movie of my childhood. Or there was a ton of reviews that were like, this is exactly what it was like. And so
I really hope not.
for
All the girls were super horny. That's exactly what I remember.
girls,
Bro, do you
were
know how many
super
girls
wet.
that got pregnant and then just didn't pay for the abortion and just stuck out on it?
And we never paid child support. You couldn't find us because it was the 80s and it wasn't always easy to find deadbeat dads.
You should
Now
have
I
seen
vote
the
pro-life.
You should have seen the look on her face when I told her I would pay for half of the abortion. She believes me.
Yo, bro, you should have seen her face when I fucked her when she was underage and I was a full-grown adult.
Yeah, I was gonna say, were any of these written by people who were 26 at the time?
So a lot of questionable reviews. So I kind of went down to the 1-star spectrum to see how they fared on that end. Jerry wrote a review. He says, misleading, you don't get the movie. And he says, I thought when I bought the movie, I could download it and it's mine. I paid for it. No, just streaming, so you always have to go back in and log into them. Disappointed.
Best thing
He's
you'll
gonna be
get.
really disappointed by Mulan when he gets that in a couple weeks.
Ooh, yeah, he's gonna be that dude. If he's not dead right now, is gonna be pissed.
Dude, talk about Jerry. You know who that review was written by? Talk about Cameron Crowe. It was written by Jerry Maguire.
It's written by Jerry Maguire or
Show
Jerry
me the
Cantrell.
movie! Show me the movie!
Show me the underage titties. I got a review from actually someone that we brought up before. This might be our first celebrity review. Bugs Bunny.
Oh, shit. All right.
Who writes, thumbs down. Just look to see Penn. Bad movie.
I will say, though, if you are a fan of Nick Cage or Sean Penn, you would probably fucking hate this movie.
Yeah, honestly, none of the heroes are in it for long enough, you know?
And we watch
is
movies
very-
for other things than Nick Cage. So, I mean, we weren't disappointed at all by Nick Cage's barely existent
true.
performance.
You know, Sean Penn too. Was this like one of his first roles, or
I think
so.
it was.
Yeah.
yeah? Because he went on to do shit that's completely different from this. He's mostly known as like a dramatic actor and shit now. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, he later went on to be an I Am Sam. which is the best and most sensitive portrayal of mental disabilities you've ever seen.
I don't know that I've actually really seen any of his movies.
He's been in the movie Milk, and then he was
Milk.
also in the borderline snuff film he made with Madonna.
Yeah.
He's in
but
Gangster Squad.
more importantly, he switches from Ursula to Phoebe in Friends, dude. Total baller move.
Oh, shit.
So I got another review from Daniel Galvis, who writes, "Great movie, terrible server. I rented the movie, and although it was great, it just stopped working halfway through. Some problem I always have renting from Amazon."
Amazon?
Amazon.
I got a review from the guy from that one. What's his name? Hold on, I can't do the joke. Hold on, what's the joke? Okay. Take two. I got a review from the guy from that Hugh Jackman movie, Van Hamlin. Okay, nailed that. That was good. Not a very funny movie. The film impressed me as a film for pedophiles. There was a number of scenes that included gratuitous sex, bare breasts, etc. of very young actors, both male and female. A lot of male tits in this. That was good too. It seemed like exploitation of actors new to the film industry. In addition, Jennifer Jason Leigh experiences a teenage pregnancy and has an abortion. It wasn't a realistic script. Sean Penn plays himself. There were cameos from future stars like Nicolas Cage. There was no point in the movie where you could say it was about personal growth, a tragedy, or even buddy love. It made Hollywood Nights look like a good movie. So somewhere on the right track. But
I've never seen. Was it Hollywood Nights?
Yeah.
The fuck is that movie?
I don't know. Are they talking about Boogie Nights?
Yeah, I think I might be talking about Boogie Nights.
I feel like they're probably talking about Boogie Nights. But
And okay, so honestly, I agreed with the vast majority of that review.
yeah.
It does seem, though, like they might be a little bit pro-life for 1 second, and then they jump right back out of it. I'm not quite sure. I got just a couple more. I got one from Rain who says, I don't remember this item. Got one from James Parati that says...
Wait, that was the whole Rain review?
Yeah. James Parati says, got it and watched it. Great movie. In love with Phoebe.
Okay, if that person is under the age of 19 and a half, that is not an acceptable review. I'm sorry.
I do believe I looked at his thumbnail and he's old as fuck.
Oh, okay, then yeah. Okay. A little sus there.
Sarah
It
writes.
was Exhibit A in his character, in his court case.
Yeah, I might have to present this to somebody. James
You'll be an
Parati.
expert witness at his trial later.
He used his full name too, and not a stage name like Bugs Bunny did. Sarah writes, why haven't I seen this movie till now? I got yelled at work for not seeing this movie. I instantly went home and watched it. LMFAO. So she liked it.
Good.
I guess. At least she found joy in the
I'm sorry,
pedophilia masturbation.
what was that person's name?
Sarah.
You know, that's actually the pseudonym of a what's her name? Ghislaine Maxwell. Something like that. Something like that.
Yeah.
So I don't know why she hadn't seen it up until now.
Yeah, and she also, I looked at her profile, gave Barbershop a 1-star review because she thought it was going to be about grooming.
But different. And to be fair, Barbershop, they're they're taking care of the hair around, not the head, right?
Yeah. Well, I can't remember. Maybe that's Barbershop too.
Okay.
She did give a 5-star review to Fantasy Island, though.
Gave 5-star review to the last Lost Prophets album.
I have one last review, and it's from Michael, not me. But he just says, I am so wasted.
and listen,
That's a great one.
and you know, one more thing I totally forgot to mention earlier. So Cameron Crowe obviously is a pedophile. We all know that. Do we know for sure if Cameron Crowe was in a pop punk band at some point? Because there's a lot of pop punk themes, if you know what I mean. That Cameron Crowe.
There
had.
are a lot of goddamn pop punk singers that end up being pedophiles. It's true, but it doesn't invalidate all of pop punk. I know you just want to shit on pop punk. We've had numerous arguments about this outside of Not about the pedophilia.
We're not going to bash pop punk here, but I will say that I'm really sad I missed the Warped Tour where Cameron Crowe headlined. So.
And listen, that's the thing is that a lot of pop punk bands are obsessed with cheese pizza of multiple kinds.
Yeah, I will say this though. What is a pop punk guitarist's favorite chord to play? A minor. But,
And also that.
hey, but
Oh my god! And that's how you know the phrase "defend pop punk." The phrase was
yeah.
originally about defending pop punk artists from claims of sexual misconduct with children.
oh god, I never fucking understood those. I think that was a band like Man Overboard.
That's
made
it.
those
That
or
was
something.
it. Yeah.
I don't fucking. Why did they do that? What are you defending it from?
Like I said,
from yeah.
From sexual misconduct accusations for children.
But so
Good movie.
yeah,
Yeah, great movie. Solid recommendation from the Cage Fight
great
crew.
movie. Definitely
Recommend if you are 50 years or older.
And especially if you like to drop your kids off at high school and take a peek at them young girls.
If you're on a registry somewhere, this is a good movie for you to watch.
And it was certainly, without a doubt, a Nicolas Cage movie.
Yeah, I'm really glad we talked about it on the Nicolas Cage podcast, Cage Fight.
Glad I
Okay.
was invited to talk about this on this podcast.
Yeah, we really got into it for that.
Yeah. So we're gonna take a break here, and then when we're back, we'll be talking about knowing returning favorite. So
See you soon.
yeah,
see you soon.
See you in like 15 seconds.
Break time. Oh yeah. Break time.
Who sent it? Who sent it?
We fuck now.
We pod. We cast now.
I really wish we could find a way to bring Deadfall back into this bracket.
Hallelujah, man! The
actually-
Joker's wild.
I'm gonna wait until we're recording, but it's actually pertinent to the human race that we bring Deadfall back. I believe it's. I heard something about it.
It's not the prophecy.
I heard something about
Oh,
it. too.
recording.
Oh, recording.
So yeah, Deadfall needs to be brought back because the human race depends on it.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, dude.
If actually, in the movie Knowing, if you look at all the dates, one of the dates is natural disasters is the day that we picked that other movie over Deadfall, Raising Arizona.
Oh, I see.
So that's one of the dates on the paper by the creepy girl.
Makes a lot of sense.
Well, yes, everyone, we are back here on Cage Fight. Now we're talking to you about Knowing. This is one that we did cover earlier on the show in, I believe, episode 4, which was Arsenal versus Knowing.
Yeah, this was an early one.
This is a real early one. It's actually been over a year since I last saw this, which is crazy to think
Damn.
about. Yeah, but Knowing, just going through some quick facts again. This came out in 2009, directed by Alex Proyas, produced by Escape Artists and DMG Entertainment. Has a runtime of 121 minutes, budget of $50 million, and a box office gross of $186.5 million.
That's pretty good for Nick Cage. Mm-hmm. And I will say too, the Escape Artists films, I thought that was kind of funny. Like that's a funny studio name.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, this is one of the 14 out of 42 movies that was in the black.
1/3 of
Yeah.
movies are in the black. That's we're gonna get a better rate at some point. Like,
Yeah, we're going
seriously.
to get a better rate. I would like to point out 42 movies. We have officially watched just over half the movies in this bracket.
You're right. Wow. Holy fuck, dude.
So
I feel
Unfortunately,
better for it.
we are not halfway through because we still have another round of the bracket where we review the majority of those films.
Yeah, you get to watch a bunch over again.
I'm so excited.
So yeah, this got 33% from critics on Rotten Tomatoes, 42% audience rating.
42%, really? Mm-hmm. I thought the audience would have liked this movie a little bit more.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised by how little audiences enjoyed this as well. If you want trivia and a more in-depth plot summary, I would say go back and listen to episode 4 where we cover this a lot more in depth. This time around, I'm just going to give a real quick plot summary. Just kind of a general overview of it, and then we're going to just go back on our return impressions for Mike and I, and for Taylor and Nathan first impressions. Or hey, Nathan, was this your first time seeing this movie, I assume?
Actually, no. I think I've seen this. I think I saw it like back when it came out. At least maybe like when it went to like DVD. But I definitely did not remember the plot as what actually I watched.
Oh,
And
Okay.
the only time I've seen this movie was the Blu-ray cover when I was at Mega Media Exchange last weekend. That was the first time I saw this.
I think it's a very solid poster, honestly.
It's a solid poster.
As we all know, Dave really liked the poster for Knowing.
It's one of the best ones probably ever. It's
It
actually
was fucking amazing.
the poster for Knowing is a lot more accurate to the movie than the poster for Fast Times at Ridgemont High. So
That is
That's true.
So this
There's
wins
that.
on poster truth alone.
yeah, weird.
Fast Times at Ridgemont High did that thing where like movies will take like back in the day when movies weren't really super popular, they had a big name actor in it. And then like when the DVD was released 30 years later, they put that most prominent actor on the cover
Yeah.
of the DVD. And like it's like a fucking like it's one of those like headshot photos from like now, not from then. Kind of like what they did with Mazes and Monsters with Tom Hanks. It was like his first starring role back in 1982, but they got like a fucking headshot of him from like Saving Private Ryan on the cover, and there's like a maze in the background, and there's no mazes in that movie at all.
Well, doing the little brief plot summary here. When a time capsule is opened up at his young son's school, Nicolas Cage finds a note inside that is just covered with numbers. He begins to pore over those numbers and realize that they're all dates of disasters and tragedies and the number of people who died in them and GPS coordinates of where these tragedies happen. So the last prediction that is listed on the note is that everyone will die on a date that is just like 3 weeks away from when he discovers it, I think.
Yeah, October 19th or something.
Yeah, I think it was October 19th, 2009. So he hunts down the daughter of the
Which by the
girl-
way, spoiler alert, it is 2020 and we're not all dead. Or at least I don't think we're all dead. So
We're
I
dead
don't,
inside.
so I don't think the
It's
prophecy...
pretty fucking hot out here, though.
I mean, you know, especially with Joe Biden and Kamala being the Democratic nominees, I think we all should be dead inside at this point. Yeah. We allowed this as a society to happen. So.
We're certainly if we're not in literal hell, we're in some form of hell. So
You know, say Hell is a Place on Earth by Belinda Carlisle. Right.
Hell is Other Robots by Futurama season 4 or 5.
1.
Damn.
Man, you got that way off. Dude, that was like 3 years difference. That was the first... So the first season of Futurama was the first year that Matt Groening was on the Lolita Express.
Oh, when he got his nasty feet rubbed?
Yes. And then 3 years after that, he went again.
Oh,
So
I mean,
that was a 3 year difference between his first time on the Lolita Express and his second time on the Lolita
I
Express.
don't want to think about him having been on there. I love
he only got his feet rubbed, all right?
Yeah,
Gotta
listen,
get that stamp card punched.
that main accuser girl, whatever her name, I can't remember her name at the moment.
But,
but she only said it was a foot rub. Okay, there was no sex involved that we know
Yeah,
of.
he did come, but she didn't.
the more of the plot summary. So he hunts down the daughter of the girl who wrote the numbers on the
Hunts down.
in the note in the time capsule, and
But
the
he
two
hunts
begin
her.
to search for clues of
Okay,
how
and
to prevent the coming apocalypse.
In that scene, right? So I wrote that down as a fucking note, right? Like Nick Cage, like fucking using his son to stalk a woman.
Yes.
That's literally what he does.
Yeah, it is crazy. I have some things to say about that in a minute too, but
It's like, listen, son, we're gonna go in the museum together, and you're gonna talk to her daughter real quick, so I can like kind of smooth up on her. Like that's a scumbag dad thing to fucking do.
yeah.
My dad did stupid shit like that.
Yeah, well, he basically hates his kid because he's a vegetarian.
And his kid is really fucking like he's like mostly deaf, not entirely deaf, right?
He's not deaf. Nicolas Cage makes the point to say he's not deaf.
he gets
Fucking
he's
dare
just-
get that wrong.
He's just really stupid.
I mean, imagine having a fucking crippled kid. Like, yeah, I can get why you fucking hate that piece of shit. Fuck that kid.
Just leave him in the museum, honestly.
Yeah, my mom died and I'm partially disabled. Well, grow up, kid, all right?
Become Batman or fucking kill yourself.
This movie came out during the Obama years. You gotta grow up now, kid, all right?
But ultimately, they discover that aliens have given the clues and are coming down to rescue some human children to put them on another planet so that the human race can continue on. Cage dies in the apocalypse, but is assured knowing that his son and humanity will continue onward.
And so that's the thing, right? So those weird people who are looking at the kids and trying to talk to them, I nicknamed them the Non-Squad. And also, in parentheses, also call them the pop punk squad because they all looked objectively like pop punk singers, as you can tell. They were only staring at children because they wanted to take them safely to a nice place that was away from here, and his parents cannot come along.
And then freaking Spike from Buffy's shows up in the kid's room while he's sleeping and shit. He's one of the Not Squad, I think.
So yeah, okay, so once again, we talk about movies with like very severe like pedophile themes. That's a pedophile theme. Like these people who don't talk to adults but only talk to children, try to sway them away from their parents.
Showing up with shiny rocks.
Yeah. Hey kid, look at this shiny rock. Your dad's not looking. Let's come here and let's talk for a little bit. And then he notices the kid looks kind of horrified at it. He's like, Dad, I don't know. I can't tell you what's going on. Like, come on. This is like pedophile allegory fucking shit.
In defense of the Nant Squad, he wanted it.
He wanted to be saved from the apocalypse.
He went up to that car on his own. He wanted that.
He wanted to get pregnant.
And they gave him a pretty stone.
That is a pretty nice fucking rock.
Yeah.
It looks like those little magnets.
Although we do learn that it looks just like all the rest of the fucking rocks. It's not all that special. There's lots more of them.
There's like a warehouse of fucking shiny black rocks.
And this thing, he woke up and he's like, this is a cool rock, but why does my butt hurt?
God. He's pooping out more black rocks.
The toilet.
Yeah, who's this Lena Dunham? Like, what?
There's a scene where Nicolas Cage comes in super mad because he's trying to flush all these rocks down the toilet. Sorry, Dad, I just didn't want you to know that I was talking to strangers.
Yeah, like, come on. There was just so many pedophile allegories with those fucking characters. It was ridiculous.
One thing I'll say, so the thing that destroys the Earth in this is a
solar flare, right?
A big solar flare, a huge, massive one. Want an annoying Neil deGrasse Tyson style nitpick about that fun?
Wait, would the kid have slid on the sand?
Well, no, this movie takes place in 2009, which, fun fact, was the last time that the sun was in the dormancy period of the solar cycle, thus making solar flares and sunspots, things of the like, solar wind, really uncommon and really unlikely. And
so the one time it might happen would be super dangerous, right?
Oh, yes.
And you know what? That's the thing, right? Is that later on, I believe 2 years later, the very legendary and good band Emure would release a song based on that incident. It was called "Solar Flare Homicide."
Oh yeah.
So
Well,
what a good song.
Basically, the sun is like your nuts. Now, hear me out for a second, all right? So when your nuts go into the dormant section and they're not blasting, right? When they finally do blast, October 19th, 2009, it's a big load. Okay. And so the solar flare had basically been saving up all this juice, right? Mm-hmm. And now it freaking is filled to the brim and it's leaking out all over the earth.
I don't know. Things are different, though. Because, like, I don't shoot big loads anymore, but that's a separate thing.
That's a whole separate thing. Well, you know, kids, we'll get into that someday, okay? We'll talk about it when you're older.
I mean, and again, I'm just assuming that you don't shoot big loads if you hold it in for a while. I'm blasting out straight water 10 times a day, so.
And you know what? I will say another trivia fun fact you might not have known. You know when the kid's doing sign language? Nick Cage actually learned sign language to teach the kid in the movie sign language.
He was actually, he was not speaking English with sign language. He was translating sign language to Navajo.
Yeah, so he's doing Navajo sign language.
But yeah, on that fun fact, actually too, 2009 had a record low number of sunspots, solar winds, and solar flares. Actually, some of the lowest recorded in history. But also, fun fact, it's 11 years. The solar cycle is 11 years. We are right now re-entering the dormancy period of the sun cycle. Fun astronomy facts that are mildly relevant.
And now they're going to remake Knowing.
That's what the lamestream media wants you to know, okay?
Oh, yeah.
I'm just telling you that much. And also, the mom is the worst fucking character in any movie we've seen on Cage Fight so far. Just such an annoying, shitty character.
I don't think she's that bad.
She literally kidnaps Nick Cage's kid to try to save him, and then she gets fucking, like, owned.
Well, yeah, but I mean, she's doing it to try and save them because she thinks that Nick Cage is just giving up completely, and he's not explaining himself.
The caves are safe. The caves are safe.
And we could talk about earlier with Fast Times being like another form of toxic masculinity, right? Nick Cage in general has a lot of toxic masculine fucking traits. Like in 8mm when he doesn't tell his wife what's going on, in this movie when he doesn't tell the mom what's going on, Nick Cage's just entire career rage once again. Yeah. Nick Cage is full of toxic masculinity.
Nick Cage knows firsthand that if you want to be a real man in the relationship, you don't communicate whatsoever.
Which is fair. But no, honestly, that character really annoyed the fuck out of me. And then, like, she basically got fucking murked by a car, and I laughed when that scene happened. She deserved it. Fuck that bitch.
You know, that scene, I am like, I don't know. See, I'm torn on that scene because, like, I felt like, and I think I said this in the initial episode too, but that needed to happen where Nicolas Cage, like, rolls up on her and everything and sees, like, she's dead and says, like, the goodbye. Like, you need some sort of catharsis and goodbye there just for the character because she was fairly major and for Nicolas Cage and all of that. But the placement of it there really does kind of kill the momentum that was building in the final scene. Like there's a lot of tension, there's a lot of fast moving cars, and like the world's about to end, but it kind of suddenly grinds to a halt for that. And I don't know. I think it would have been better done a little bit.
Yeah, and honestly, I did like the disaster scenes in this movie. I thought they were shot relatively well. And like they kind of showed like the kind of innate horror of like a situation like that.
The flaming moose is the wallpaper on my computer. That shit
honestly,
slaps.
okay. So the funniest part of that was when the guy's like running on fire, and Nick's like, "Hey!" It's like, dude, you trying to talk to a guy on fire? What the fuck?
He's trying to get directions.
I watched like the special effects reel on that where he's just running through a field with just smoke around him and no fires whatsoever. I do like how he tries to barely save him, like he kind of like sticks his hands in for like half a second, but as the fire that they added in there, he's like fully sticking his hands all the way in it, not reacting at all. He doesn't get burned because he's Nicolas Cage, but it's very funny to watch.
Well, he was Johnny Blaze in that scene, so the fire wouldn't hurt him.
Oh, of course.
He flamed on for that.
And you know what also is really funny is that the scene where the non-squad first shows up and Nick Cage like really knows who they are, and he's got the baseball bat and he goes, "Hey, you want some of this? You want some of this?" And he bangs the baseball bat against the tree. That had me rolling laughing.
That
was
is
hilarious.
pretty fucking funny. Like I don't know, he does not give off tough guy vibes.
I mean, my dad literally
I don't know what you're talking about.
My dad did that at one point, except it was a bear trying to eat out of a bird feeder, and he ran out naked with a baseball bat trying to get the bear away. That actually happened. That was a real story. That actually happened.
Yeah, my dad was the bear.
Sounds like this movie reminded you of your dad.
Yeah, Nick Cage really reminds me of my dad in this movie because he also, Nick Cage in this movie, his house is a neckbeard nest. You see the part where it's like his fucking like computer, it's like a nice computer, and then it's like paint falling off the fucking, it looks like something out of like one of those 4chan threads, like, hey, look at my battle station, and it looks like a dungeon, but there's a laptop in the middle of the fucking room.
Even the outside of the house looks really shitty. It looks really run down. It looks bad.
But his fucking jack station's primo.
And that's the thing, right? So what is Nick Cage's job in this movie again? Like a college professor?
Yeah,
he's an astrophysics professor.
You know,
MIT,
he actually went to school and got a master's degree in astrophysics just so he could be that character in this movie.
He actually Kirby absorbed Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah,
mean,
that's how he trained for this role. He actually got a degree in astrophysics.
I mean, wouldn't you want to suck up
MIT.
Neil deGrasse Tyson all the way, if you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, those fucking vests turn me on, dude.
Yeah, dude. More like Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Or Neil deGrasse Diamond. Or my favorite, Neil Smokegrass High Son.
Hell yeah.
Hey.
Spicoli approves, brother.
I don't know. Some of my thoughts on this movie that I'd written down. In one of the early scenes, the elementary school band is authentically out of tune and out of time with one another, which like good. Like they really captured the feeling of listening to an elementary school
100%
band.
accurate.
It's too bad this wasn't a Cameron Crowe movie because that would have been Pearl Jam.
They
Eddie
have
Vedder in there
like
as a kid.
they have the thematically relevant school lecture trope that kind of goes on. That, sometimes kind of annoys me in movies, and it does kind of annoy me here too. I still don't understand why he talks about determinism, a philosophical topic, in an astrophysics lecture. It doesn't really.
Because he has to set the tone for the fucking movie, bro.
You're saying he's bad at his job?
Yeah, quite possibly.
Well, I mean, aspects of his job. He just gets distracted super easily.
Well, he is the son of a pastor.
That was, thank God you said that, because I was going to lead to my next point. Those characters were fucking pointless. The pastor and the mom were completely pointless fucking characters.
It added more of the kind of religious character to the movie that, before,
But the movie shouldn't have had a religious character, because it's a natural fucking disaster movie. There's no religion in it at all.
It's left behind with a little bit less Jesus juice.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I understand the aliens, but they could be seen as maybe religious figures if you're not paying attention. But there's no actual religion in this fucking movie.
Did you just say it was Left Behind with a little less Jesus juice?
I mean, yeah. How would you describe it?
Hilarious. That's all right. I'm turning my mic off again.
But that I don't know. The first time I watched this movie, I definitely saw the religious imagery, and I just assumed it was like, like symbolism type things, because I mean shit, like the entire canon of English literature is full of like biblical allusions and shit like that, so it's pretty typical par for the course shit, and it doesn't necessarily make a movie religious to have that. But this time around through, I since I was able to watch the movie more closely and not take super in-depth notes, I did kind of notice a little more of the bit of religious character that goes on in some of this stuff. And there's like lines that go by like, everything in my scientific mind is telling me to have nothing more to do with this, and your shit too. Shit like that is kind of like, they're like little digs. And then the fact that he makes up with his pastor father and says this is not the end and all that. So like, it didn't strike me that way the first time, but I got a little bit more of it here this time around. But
And also Nick Cage's like college friend, the guy was like, "Oh, Nick Cage, fucking there's obviously an event." He's the guy that works at the fucking what's the word?
The observatory.
The observatory, yeah. That guy was the actor who got his fucking like neck snapped off screen in Dark Knight Rises. Remember that? He's like, "So this maneuver didn't get me things from Wayne." He's like, "I feel you're scared right now." And then he like busted his neck off screen. That was that same actor, and I'm like, that guy looks really fucking familiar.
Also the same burglar guy from Nicolas Cage movie Trespass that we watched.
Oh, really?
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
He's also most famously Captain Krennic from Star Wars Rogue One.
Of course.
Oh.
And he's the dude from Stephen King's The Outsider on HBO.
So this guy's obviously rolling in the fucking dough as a character actor.
Yeah, I mean, he's got kind of like a weird mouth, and it's kind of fucking cool.
He's got a
I
borderline
kind of
like
like
lisp
him,
going on.
actually.
I
like
do
him.
like him, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know his name, but like I've seen him in shit, and I'm like, no, he's all right. He looks
I
like he
ca-
fits.
I can't remember his name, but he's usually pretty solid.
Ben Mendelsohn.
Yeah, Ben Mendelsohn.
Ben Manhandle is his son in the movie. He's part of the non-squad.
Other things I have to say, like the scenes of wreckage are pretty good. The CGI hasn't aged very well, but I don't know. I thought the plane crash scene was pretty well done. I mean, it's like a 2-minute long take that I think is
Yeah, it's one
nice.
shot.
It's one shot that
I have two things about because the plane scene obviously is one of the standouts. Whenever I was looking up some extra stuff on YouTube, it's very hard to find any extra content on this movie other than several people just uploading the same clip of the plane crash with different aspect ratios on it, and it looks terrible.
Sounds right.
But whenever I was watching the special effects reel of it, I watched it and it's great. It looks, parts of it do look okay, but just the one thing that really caught me was he goes. So he obviously, the whole part of the scene is he stops and he gets out and he talks to the police officer. The police officer then looks behind him and he looks like he sees something. Nicolas Cage turns around, also looks behind him, doesn't see anything, and then from the right, the complete opposite direction that the police officer was looking at, the plane comes barreling through. No one was looking that way at all.
Yeah.
So I don't know if this was like they play it, because especially just like you were saying, it was like a 2-minute scene where it was like all one take. So it's like, you think that kind of thing would be a little bit more planned, but it obviously wasn't.
Maybe the plane like pump faked him.
He came in from one side and then just swerved around.
Zip, zip.
It's like, hey, listen, guys, I'm gonna crash this plane. Watch me do a flip.
You'll never guess where I land.
You know that plane was actually piloted by that guy in Washington State who was like a baggage handler, and he just stole a plane for like 3 hours. Do you remember that?
Yeah, Sully.
Yeah, Sully. It was Sully Sullenberger.
Sully Sullenberger, baggage handler who stole a plane and killed a goose.
That's how that works. Yeah.
Yeah. So like I think this is a pretty like competently made movie. It's fairly well acted on the part of all the actors, aside from the child actors. But I mean, child actors usually aren't very good.
Honestly, the kid and the Nick Cage's son wasn't that bad.
I was gonna say, I think that they work well like individually, but at the same time, I really felt myself it was very hard to believe that they were father and son. They seemed like they were two people who happened to know each other, like actors who weren't actually.
Yeah,
I didn't feel any like connection between them at all.
I agree with that. There was not a whole lot of
Not a familial
platonic
vibe.
chemistry between them.
They tried to do it with the sign language stuff, trying to get it between that, and it's kind of it wasn't working for me.
Well, especially with like the fact that like Nick Cage is like a fucking borderline neglectful parent too. That didn't really help.
Yeah.
Like he's like not a very good parent in this movie. He keeps like basically being like, "Oh yeah, okay, I'll pick you up," and then just like he never does anything with this kid. He's like, "Hey kid, eat your fucking dinner and go to bed. Don't watch movies. And if you feel bad about your mom, fuck you." And it's like, "Oh yeah, he's a loving dad." And then at the end of the movie, when he's like, "No son, you can go," and it's like, where was this emotional build up throughout the entire fucking movie before? Like you treated this kid like a piece of shit. Like you didn't give a fuck at all.
But I mean, I do agree that this is a pretty competently made movie, and as far as like, it seems like a movie that I would like when I was a kid be channel flipping and see 10 minutes of it on USA, and it's one of those movies where if it's like stupid and on TV, I would actually watch it.
Yeah, this is a movie that if I was like bored on a Saturday night and I was flipping through channels, I'd be like, yeah, fuck it, I'll watch it.
Yeah, it's certainly not terrible.
Yeah.
And I do think it's relatively suspenseful up until the last act.
Yeah.
I do think it does a really good job with the suspense, actually. I think that's the strongest aspect of the whole movie.
And then I think the movie kind of falls apart in the third act, in my opinion.
I think the thing that they could have done to improve on this a little bit is played up like Cage's paranoia a bit more. And, you know, like you kind of know from the start that something is in fact happening. But if they kind of played it up like you don't know if he's crazy or not, I think you could have like mined a little bit more.
Yeah, I think they really should have saved it's the apocalypse for like the last 10 minutes of the fucking movie. They really blew the load way too soon.
If there was a question in the audience's mind as to whether like something was actually happening or if he's just a madman with a whiteboard, that would be pretty cool. Because I mean, like, I get some random piece of paper with a bunch of numbers on it. I fucking use it to roll a cigarette, you know? Mm-hmm. Throw it away.
Another funny thing about the paper was I loved that the thing that like revealed to him that this was important is he put an alcohol glass on it.
Oh yeah.
And the like ring of whiskey or whatever highlighted.
Oh, yeah.
Like, let me look at these numbers real quick. Like that made me laugh really hard. I'm
Wow.
like,
That is funny. And that's the thing that could have played up on it, too, because he's up all night drinking all the
yeah,
time.
he's
like,
like
doing
stricken
this.
from his fucking
And,
wife dying or whatever. Like,
Just staring at numbers.
yeah, he's got like weirdly hyper religious parents that might help fuel his paranoia too or whatever. Like, and they really could have like blown up the paranoia a bit, and I think that would have been a lot better.
Yeah, if they went full number 23 with it.
Like, talk about Joey Shoes.
Talking about MJ?
Joey Shoes. Yeah, MJ. The number 23 is the new documentary.
But
Is that the 23 accusers of Bryan Singer?
you did say it leaves a ring on the note. This movie does have a visual motif of circles. I'm not really sure what that's about, but
Yeah.
they're all over the fucking
Well, and Nick
place in
Cage
this
was a
movie.
really big fan of A Perfect Circle, the band. So that's
Yeah,
why they were in the movie a lot.
Yeah, he really loves Maynard James Keenan. And if you think about it, if you really, really think about it, the sun is also a circle.
Yeah.
So,
Not a perfect circle, though.
no.
It's more
He
of an
was- I think
oblate
he was-
spheroid. I'm sorry.
I think he was really pissed off whenever he finally saw Arrival, and he was like, "Oh my god, aliens and circles! We've already fucking done this before."
Everybody's praising Arrival, but nobody remembers knowing?
I also think some of the symbolism in the movie that they do is a little too on the nose occasionally. But whatever. I mean, I've seen more on the nose and annoying symbolism in other places before. But
I really do think this movie didn't leave a whole lot up to imagination. I also think the whole scene with the kids running on the alien planet was kind of stupid and tacky.
Yeah, that I honestly forgot about that for a second. And if I had remembered it, I probably thought I was just watching Westworld or something.
And spoilers ahead if you haven't seen the movie Snowpiercer. But the last last scene of this movie really reminds me of the very last scene of Snowpiercer. But at least that scene, like there was a good amount of mystery to what actually happened at the end of this. But at that movie, it's like, or in knowing, it's just like, oh, bad CGI, alien tree, and the kids are running, and that's it. And it's just stupid.
It was really corny.
Very much a hat on a hat.
Yeah, and it felt like, honestly, not even joking, felt like something from a Creed music video.
No, it really did.
Like kids running through a field towards a big tree.
I didn't think of it like that, but that's absolutely true.
Yeah.
Yeah, so no, I think if that whole scene wasn't in there, I think I would have liked the movie a little bit more. If they would have just been like, oh, they go to alien planet, bye. And then the movie ends with the whole planet being fucking destroyed by a solar flare, I would have been like, fuck, okay. But then they had to show the kids, and I'm like, oh, that's stupid.
Or
Fuck
they
this.
here's my ending. Inspired by The Mist. So all the kids get on a spaceship and they start flying away, and then the army's like, we're gonna fucking blast the spaceship with a missile, and all the kids die.
You know what also would have been a really interesting ending is that they showed the scene with the non-squad taking those 2 kids up, and then the movie doesn't actually have the apocalypse, so it's like a normal day, and Nick Cage goes into New York City, and then he's like talking with his like, oh, it's like, hey, I missed you guys, and then you just see a cop car pulling up right around him. It's like, oh no, Nick Cage killed and buried those children. That I think it would have been an objectively way better ending.
This was all a paranoid delusion. He had these kids buried in his fucking backyard the whole time.
That would have legit actually been a really good. I would have given this movie a 9 out of 10 if that was
That
what
would have
actually
been
happened.
wild, actually.
I would fucking yeah, absolutely.
That's
But
good
they,
stuff.
They could not do that. Yeah, I thought the ending, the last act was really kind of crap, and I think kind of ruined the movie for me because I really did like the mystery up until the revelation. Well, no pun intended, revelation.
Yeah, for sure. I agree.
I honestly felt like, although it's a fun scene, I guess it's kind of the middle part of it is the whole subway scene of him going to New York. I felt like that was honestly just kind of filler to just pad out the movie because nothing really, I think, of note actually happens other than once again proving that the numbers mean something, and he's just there like. He's just going just to see it basically because of course he tries to like stop it by calling the FBI, which just gets him in trouble basically, which also he apparently, because everything blows up, he's able to evade the FBI without issue.
Oh yeah, I also like to point out
there just to see it.
Yeah, he did probably get on the FBI's hot list, and this was at the peak of the American surveillance state, so they would have been all over his ass.
Oh yeah,
I mean, he would not have gotten away like that. But.
Especially if he had parked his pickup truck in the middle of fucking Manhattan like he did. They would not have taken kindly to that. But no, I definitely agree too. Like the airplane scene, like that was a pure accident. Whereas the thing in New York, he did that on purpose, which I think was missing the whole point. Like I think the idea of Nick Cage being a completely passive observer to all these tragedies would have made it a lot better.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it would have helped play up the paranoia aspect a little bit, I think. Yeah, the whole thing in New York is strange because like he goes there and he sees a guy who he thinks looks suspicious. And the guy sees Nicolas Cage and immediately starts running for some reason. I don't know why, because Cage is not a cop, and all this dude did was like steal some DVDs.
He stole a couple DVDs. Like, who gives a fuck, dude?
Holy shit! It's that astrophysics professor who catches people who stole DVDs.
Which, by the way, you're in the subway. No one fucking cares you stole DVDs. Stop being a weird motherfucker about it. You already left the store.
I want to say I was really hoping for a cameo by the guy who sold the DVDs at the very end whenever it shows all the heat wave blasting through and it shows people running. I was really hoping that he dropped the DVDs one last time and just
he walks out of a fucking Walgreens with a bunch of DVDs. He's like, oh fuck no!
He just melts.
He's dropping a copy of Volcano and Dante's Peak at the same time.
He's got a copy of Too Fast, Too Furious, and it gets melted onto his skin for a microsecond before he gets vaporized. Shit. All right.
I regret nothing.
But yeah, overall, I would say based on my second impression of this movie, I don't like it as much as the first time I saw it. But I think part of the explanation for that is the first time I saw it, we'd basically watched a shitload of terrible movies, and now I've,
now there's been a couple good movies. You're just like, well...
Yeah, I mean, I liked it better the first time also, but also this is not a movie that needs to be rewatched annually, which certainly didn't help.
No, it really does not.
You've already once you know the ending, like I think the whole thing of watching it the first time, you're kind of like, okay, this could be like really cool. Like I could really see if this could end really super awesome, and so you kind of have like higher hopes for it the first time. But I can imagine watching it the second time, you're like, I know where this shit's going.
Yeah, the suspense doesn't really pull its weight on a rewatch, especially so soon after the first. And yeah, the ending is just not good. So
yeah, I don't know. That's pretty much all I had to say about this.
What about you guys, the knowing virgins? Well, Nathan's somewhat knowing virgin.
I mean, I do know that I am a virgin. So.
Oh, yeah.
I'm unaware if I'm a virgin. I don't know.
Yeah, there's a lot of technicalities. There could be. Honestly, I'm of an asterisk next to my
Like
virginity.
a virgin, knowing for the very first time.
Like a virgin, back laid out on the cold bleachers of the baseball
dugout.
field.
All right, speaking of, did Dave have his summary from last time?
Oh,
This was before we had Dave summaries that were contractually obligated. So
yeah, Dave, did you pick up any notes on what knowing might have been given what we just talked about there?
Nick Cage is a homo.
All right.
Is that it?
Pretty much.
All right, fair enough. I think that's actually. Well, let's think. He does stalk a woman, but he doesn't try to fuck her. So I mean, kind
That's true.
of sus.
that's true.
I actually appreciate that he does not, that they don't try to force them together at all.
Yeah,
I
Yeah,
appreciate
I
that
will
too.
say that one last thing on my end is I'm glad they didn't force a romantic subplot in here at all.
Yeah.
But
If
I mean,
anything-
they did force this romantic subplot between the children because they're
Yeah.
definitely going to have to fuck at some point.
Yeah, they're gonna have to
They're literally
repopulate the
walk
world.
up at the end of the movie both holding rabbits like symbols of fertility.
Yeah.
and then walk
I think
holding
that
hands.
I think that is absolutely true. I think that's absolutely the reason why they didn't want them to get together, because they're like, well, if we get them together, then it's weird if the children get together.
Are we sure Cameron Crowe didn't write this?
That's how you get all that weird stepdad porn when your fucking Nicolas Cage and Rose Byrne get married and then their kids have to fuck to save the world. That I would jack off to that. Like, come on, sis, we have to do it for society.
Oh my god.
I think I saw Nick Cage give them a carrot right before they were about to get on the alien ship.
We'll
He
talk
was
about
like,
rabbits and
"You'll eat
carrots.
Don't feed this to the bunny.
Exactly.
Learn to suck.
So, Mike, do you have reviews for this one?
I do. I actually was very excited when I found the reviews that I did for this movie.
Oh god, I'm so fucking excited knowing what some of these reviews might entail. I'm excited.
I got one from GL Tire Biter, which is maybe a porn name. I don't know.
Do they review tires? Like what?
TY Tire.
Oh, well, they review British tires.
And they say, for a movie that is somewhat depressing, I really like the way it was done. Spoiler alert.
It's a spoiler on his opinions.
The
Yeah,
world
was this cage fight?
the world is coming to an end by fire, and in parentheses, biblical. But Cage's son and his girlfriend / future spouse will survive. The religious themes don't bother me in the slightest. In fact, it's part of the reason for the hope that Cage and his family have. I liked how they made the aliens appear to have wings on their backs, which is exactly how traditional pictures of angels are depicted in antiquity. Might not an alien looking like these aliens be perceived as an angel by someone born on Earth over 2,000 years ago? I've often wondered the same thing, and that something like this may have happened tens of thousands of years ago,
This is the guy from Ancient Aliens.
that the Earth may have been seeded with other humans who originated elsewhere in the universe.
Oh, so it's like spermiogenesis type shit.
Yes. And they end this review with one fun line. It's fun to dream.
Mark!
So, yeah.
Did you say Hark?
Yeah.
Stacy Ludwig writes, well, it's Nicolas Cage. Why not?
that should be the slogan for this podcast.
Probably
Nicolas Cage, cage fight. Nicolas Cage, why not?
I'm gonna have to cut that as a soundbite.
That's a good wrap up for this podcast. That sums it up pretty well.
That should be like the last phrase when we finish the bracket. Nick Cage, why not?
Well, she writes, yep, here's another one. Another good tagline for the podcast. One of my favorites because it ties in some biblical stories. Ezekiel chapter 1 is very interesting and wondrous of what he may have witnessed.
I'm sorry, wait. Ezekiel chapter 1 is interesting, but have you ever heard of Ezekiel 25:17?
The path of the righteous man. Jess is robbing us right now. Robert M. writes, not the usual. Great sci-fi, no ray guns or strange planets unless you consider Earth strange.
But there is objectively a strange planet, the one the kids end up on.
He also probably turned it off in the last 45, so...
It's like that person who watched the only 5 minutes of Outcast.
And he also says, I bought a couple extra copies after viewing the first time to give to friends. Doubt you will be disappointed. So,
What a cute friend.
among all the people, because every movie has a million reviews that are like, I didn't buy this. I don't remember buying this. So this just adds to the amount of people who own this movie who have never meant to buy this movie.
But did they write negative reviews?
They probably just threw it in the trash or like re-gifted it to their kids or something.
I mean, I found a copy of Mega Media Exchange for $3, so maybe it was one of those copies.
That very well might be. But this is actually this review frightened me a little bit. It gets a little this kind of gets serious. So I don't want to scare anybody. But Matt's Rowing wrote a review called "Inaccurate View of Aliens."
Oh no.
And he says, Nicolas Cage does a great job. However, the movie depicts the aliens as friendly and helpful and godlike. The truth is that the aliens are trying to steal the light from the light bearers, including the genetic code that holds the light. That's why you have all the mutilations and abductions around the globe. They want to be like God, but they can't be like God, since the aliens have no light of their own. It's a plot of the Fallen Ones and the Watchers to impose an image of friendly aliens. God is the giver of all life. Mechanization, man, and aliens are not the salvation for mankind.
Wait.
Well, listen, I'm going
Okay,
to say
my third
I
eye
have no
is
issues
opened,
with that review.
first of all. But what cult is this person a part of? Because I need to know more about it.
This person is for sure a starseed.
Oh, okay.
You know what? Listen. I don't know why you guys are having a problem with this. That sounds perfectly okay to me. Like, there's nothing weird about that shit at all.
Look up Unicron on TikTok and everything will make sense.
Oh my god, wait, I did see some clips of somebody talking about her.
Yeah, she basically is a cult leader, and I can't really explain what her deal is because it's pretty incoherent, but I do suggest going down a TikTok hole because she might have wrote this review.
Listen, knowing the demographics of TikTok, I don't want to go down anyone's holes on there. I'm going to end up on a list or eventually writing the script for Fast Times at Ridgemont High too.
That's how it starts. I got a review from Paul R. Yarnold, PhD. I'm sorry.
Oh shit.
Paul R. Yarnold, PhD.
What university is he at?
shit,
Let me look this up.
And he writes a review called that's titled FUD Satanic.
Oh.
It says defiles the truth found in the Old and New Testaments, created to spread fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Clearly the work of the beast, produced in hell's capital on earth. Did you find his...
Well, I found Paul R. Yarnold, PhD, who is CEO of Optimal Data Analysis. Verified email at planetyarnold.com.
I don't think that's the same person.
Yeah, it might not be.
It might not be, but also that person might think that this is the work of the beast. I don't know.
Oh, well, yeah, his papers are all about statistics.
Statistically speaking, the devil made this movie.
Those statistics end up having a lot of sixes in the percentages.
Any of those papers about sun flares?
And I have one last review from Jason Bennett, who writes, stupid plot, intentional confusion to the Bible. If the goal was to go against what the Bible teaches and to distort the truth and God's character and who God is, then this movie attempted to do exactly that, but did it horribly. LOL, waste of time.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
I don't have any issues with that review at all.
Yeah, that's probably the best one. So basically, go to church after seeing this one, or you might be damned for all eternity.
Well, shit. I'm going to be damned for all of eternity then.
I'm going to be damned sexy for all eternity.
Hey.
Got him.
I think that wraps up everything we have to say about Knowing again for its second time around.
Yeah. And sure we'll never have to talk about it again because Fast Times was so good, but I guess we'll find out in a second.
Yeah, I was going to say, Dave, do you want to do the countdown?
3. No.
This motherfucker so faked this out. Oh my
Damn.
I was not expecting that. That was a good
That's a
fake
bigger
out.
fake out than the fucking
I
airplane
bet at some
crash.
other point he said 2 and he said 1.
We can clip it
and
together.
we could clip it together and I can play the soundbite. But okay. So everyone.
All right.
3,
3, 2, 1.
Knowing.
Handily.
Oh.
Do we get all of knowings?
And
Yeah.
one Zandali.
Yeah, we got 4 votes for knowing, 1 vote for Sandali.
So Zandali wins, of course.
Yeah, well, actually, if we want to preserve the future for our children, we should probably pick Deadfall.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's a little bit too late for that. I think we should just let the apocalypse happen. Clearly we're in the worst fucking timeline right now.
I mean, if he could stop it, why not?
But no, honestly, yeah. I was honestly really expecting Fast Times to win just because of like the positive attention this movie's gotten historically. But no, that movie fucking sucked shit. I hated it.
And
Yeah. It
knowing
wasn't a Cage movie. Kind of like...
Yeah, it wasn't a Cage movie. Like knowing Nick Cage is the main fucking character and he's in a significant chunk of it. I mean, he's not.
and he's even in less of this than he was in Snowden, where
Yeah, also not a Cage movie.
it
Yeah.
is that one is he's a named character, he's on the call sheet and he's got screen time.
He's
and
also
he
got
has
the
lines.
best moment in the fucking movie.
It's true.
I don't think that if Nicolas Cage had a bigger role in Fast Times, I still don't think that he could have saved the movie and made it better.
No.
That is true.
Especially
Unless-
between knowing, I don't think so.
Yeah, maybe he played a character that like ran into the classroom and made all the girls put their clothes back on or something.
Yeah, if Nick Cage
Right,
was the
if he-
character who was like the cop, but the good kind of cop who's like, oh, I see statutory rape happening. No, fuck you. You're going to jail now. So yeah, if Nick Cage was the character who stopped all the rape and like sexual like borderline abuse in this movie, I'd be like, no, okay, this is a good movie then. It's cool shit. He's the anti-rape cop.
Yeah, if he like shoots some people in the head or something. That'd
Yeah,
be funny.
if Nick Cage was the character who shot that 26-year-old statutory rapist in the head, I'd be like, no, this movie's cool shit.
yeah.
Just ends up in a police brutality compilation video.
And
Nick
knowing
Cage is a homo.
Well, if we've determined anything today, it's that.
yeah.
For sure. Not even a question.
I will say, knowing it isn't like a great movie. It isn't even like a particularly good movie or anything like that. But it isn't really a bad movie. It's kind of just.
It's a very watchable movie.
Yeah, it's watchable. And, you know, honestly, it's saving grace having won twice in the bracket thus far is that it's gone against 2 movies that we really hated.
You know, I think this is the only movie that's won 2 rounds in the bracket so far, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
So shit, Knowing might be the best movie
Damn.
we've seen on Cage Fight by accident.
Undefeated champion of the world.
Of Cage Fight so far, it's literally the undefeated champion so far.
Knowing.
In the next round, it's going to go against the winner of the next episode's bracket, which are Kick-Ass and Zandali returning.
Oh, I'm so excited to watch Zandali. I'm so excited to watch Zandali.
Dave's vote is going to be relevant again.
I'm so excited to see Judge Reinhold in a second episode.
Yeah, 2 in a row.
For the
That-
not
not-
2 in a row for fucking Judge Reinhold. He's coming for Peter Stormare's
Yeah,
record.
I was gonna say. But Peter Stormare is what 3 in a row, right?
3 in a row, I think. 3 Pete. It's Peter Stormare.
Yeah,
3 Pete.
three great accents in a row.
Oh. Well, Nathan, thanks for chatting with us. And thanks for taking the time to watch these 2 okay movies.
One okay movie.
I had a lot of fun both watching the movie and being on this podcast. I really appreciate you guys having me.
Awesome. It was great having you. Is there anything you want to plug on the show?
No, I you could follow me, I guess, on Twitter, but I don't post that much. I mostly retweet stuff about Disney parks, which if you're interested in that, would you actually be interested in following that? I'm at Nathan All, Nathan with
yes.
a OL.
I love Jenny Nicholson, and half of what I follow her for is her damn Disney park content, so I'll watch
Jenny
it.
Nicholson
Absolutely.
rules. Mm-hmm. And you know what? Nathan, we've talked about this before. We started a petition to get some G-Force representation into the parks. There's no G-Force rides. There's not even a fucking plush that you can get in one of the stores. Although the record company at the Rock and Roller Coaster is called G-Force Records.
Oh, That's got to
true.
be a reference.
That is the only G-Force reference that is not even a G-Force reference in the Disney parks that I'm aware of.
It definitely is surprising though, because I did look it up, and Nicolas Cage does love going to Disneyland, as far as I can tell. I've seen lots of shaky videos of him with his beautiful son Weston Cage Coppola.
Oh shit.
I actually did.
His son's really hot.
I did find a photo of him on Space Mountain.
What?
That's very good. I could share that with you guys.
Yes,
Wow.
please do. We will tweet that out because
Hell yes.
Oh god, it's so good. Okay, we're gonna tweet that because that is one of the best things I've ever seen.
Oh God, I love
Nicolas Cage on Space Mountain.
And turn that around one more time, because I think that looks like fucking a little bit like a really scraggly Billy Mays.
Yeah, Billy Mays. It does, holy shit! It does look like Billy Mays. But
I think this was a recent photo, so unless Billy Mays has resurrected himself, I'll give proper credit. This was from @DisneyParkCeleb, which I guess only tweets out stuff about celebrities at Disney parks, and it says confirmed Nicolas Cage is at Disneyland. This was in January 17th of 2019.
Okay,
Oh, wow.
because I was going to say, I have not been on Space Mountain in Disneyland, but I have been on Space Mountain in Disney World, and it is rickety as fuck, so I would probably be making that face too.
The face makes you look like Billy Mays.
Yeah, I mean, it's a face that says, I need to clean up after myself.
But no, honestly, it was a great episode. Liked it a lot.
Yeah, great episode. Thank you so much, Nathan. I'll give you a follow there. And
I won't.
oh, okay.
Smart.
Everybody, check out Kick-Ass and Zandali for next week. But that's all we got for you.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Taylor signing off. Bye.
Cage fight. Oh yeah. Cage fight. Nicolas Cage.
This has been a Solid Work production.
Solid work. Solid work. Solid work. Hey, solid work.